What is happening, Dolphins fans, and welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host, El Capitan. Tonight on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we're going to go into some Dolphins news, some things. We'll peel back a little bit of the talks of contract with Tua Tagovailoa. Things keep coming out and heating up about it. It's ice cold. It's steaming hot. It's never stopping with the constant discussion about his contract and what he wants, what he deserves, and what he will ultimately get. Also, legend Larry Zonka kind of loses it a little bit when talking about the 72 Dolphins. Every time people want to talk, a lot of those old timers ain't got no time for the nonsense. We'll play the audio from that. We also got, some Dolphins related news. For you guys that don't know, Aaron Rodgers has been MIA and has an excused absence from the Jets to go and, how should we say, alternative medicines in South America. Meanwhile, Hassan Riddick is getting crucified by his head coach at the podium for not showing up to mandatory minicamp. And the leader of the team, the guy they probably need the most, the guy that's missed the most time, isn't around to be there. And it's for some ayahuasca. Let's call it for what it is. We'll appeal and talk back about that. And then we're going to finish, again, the 53-man roster projection. We're going to break down the linebackers, the defensive tackles, the defensive edge rushers, and then that'll bring us to basically quarterbacks and special teams, and we'll see where we land on this 53-man roster. And maybe if we have time, we'll see who's left, and maybe we might look at the other position groups to think, okay, we need this guy more than that guy and stuff like that. We'll bring ourselves down to a couple of names that we can measure on whether this guy is, even though we only had 6 wide receivers in our first go round, we might say, well, I want that 7th wide receiver because to me, this guy is more valuable than the 11th offensive lineman or the 6th defensive tackle or whatever we decide. So we'll go into all of that as well. Hit the like button on your way in. If you're watching on X or Twitch or wherever you guys are, make sure to wander over here to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, help the channel grow, donate to the program, and become a member. It really helps out. It's the lifeblood of the community, and we'll get right into it.
Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic Hill. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown.
To your hands, a plan your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve it now. It's only worth it if you work for it.
All right. Let's get into this nonsense. Salutes everybody in chat getting in here early. Bihana, Lou, a.k.a. the Rabid Dolphin family member. Hit the like button. Joe Wrist up in here. Raf, what's going on, Raf? Bahana asking if the trade has taken place yet. No. It has not. New attitude. What's going on, buddy? And then Jamie, as always. What's up, Jamie? Thank you for the Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. It is an important impact. And, for anybody who is a father and doesn't know what their worth is, just look at the statistics for people in prison without fathers and all the effects of that. It's pretty staggering, the types of children we leave behind when we're not proper. Anyone can father a kid. You got to be a daddy too. You got to be the dad. That's different. It's a different set of job standards. So happy Father's Day, but shout out to all the dads. All right. Now that that's out of the way, hit the like button on the way in. Let's get into a little bit of news, right? Aaron Rodgers, as everybody may or may not know, has an excused absence from camp. Oddly excused absence at that. He is once again doing the ayahuasca thing, which hey, I'm cool with, right? For those of you guys who don't know me, I'm down for the expansion of the mind. It's one of my favorite pastimes, to be honest with you. I'm not down with the ayahuasca personally, right? Like I know uh, Aaron Rodgers, he's a little bit advanced of the expand your mind type of stuff. He likes to sit into a dark room for days on end, which I'm not. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts that long personally. I don't need to find that part of myself. I know that part. I just unleash it when it's necessary and live in cohesiveness with that other part. I don't need to make peace with it. I've made peace with it. Aaron Rodgers wants to hold its hand. He's a fucking weirdo in that way, sitting in dark rooms. It's crazy. But yeah, ayahuasca, again, not my flavor, right? Like I'm not even a dude that's like about the DMT. Like I get like the whole appeal of DMT, which ayahuasca really that's what it is. It's a form of ingestion of DMT that this plant that they get, they make it to a tea, and you got to go out to this fucking witch doctor in the middle of nowhere, and you shit your brains out and throw up everywhere. It just doesn't sound like a dope time to me, bro. Just really doesn't sound like the funnest of times for a guy like myself. I'm not interested in, and I'm about going in the woods and partying and living one with the nature and the expanding mind, realm. But the freaking ayahuasca, I don't know, dude. Just seems like a lot, man. Seems like you're trying a little too hard. That's what it is. You look like a fucking tool now, dude. You're like a tryhard. And I point at that and laugh. I go, ha ha, you're a tryhard nerd. That's just how I deal with it. And that's how it kind of looks to me. Jets fans, your quarterback's a nerd. And he's only doing his fucking ayahuasca stuff because he thinks it makes him cooler. And he was cooler not doing it. Now he's becoming less cool doing it. But I think it runs perfectly with the plans of the New York Jets, personally. So that's what I think, right? They're a team that has a lot. Everybody and their mother finna be on a hot seat here directly if this thing don't start out rolling nicely. A lot of money, a lot of hype, a lot of draft picks, a lot of don't worry, we sucked again, but I swear to God, this is gonna work. And Jets fans collectively, they're hopeful, right? But not the smack talking out of the Jets fans is non-existent. Like, they got nothing to stand on anymore. Even Patriot fans can pipe up a little bit more than Jets fans can because of just the absolute collapsing that they continue to do and going so hard for Rodgers is going to be everything. They did that so much last offseason. It was insane. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was everywhere on every national show. It was Rodgers, Jets. Oh, the Jets, they're going. It was so poetic that he didn't make it through the first series because they were hyping this up like you were a stupid sports bettor if you weren't picking the Jets to win this amount of games or win the East or win just being winners. And I was like, damn. And all of a sudden he goes down and that was the end of it. And then you didn't hear nothing about him. Now this offseason, they're hopeful, but they're not like, dude, you can go back to this show, to the episodes 1 year ago from today in the offseason. And look, the hype around Rodgers and the Jets was sickening. It was sickening to hear and listen to everywhere. It was worse than the Bills were the two previous seasons combined because the Bills were the darlings of the NFL, and it was just sickening all the time. But at least the Bills had wins, right? At least they had like a young quarterback that was doing stuff. The Jets just think that, lock, stock, and barrel, they're stamping their tickets to the freaking Super Bowl with the Rodgers trade, and the entire mainstream sports media was singing its praises, and it was uncontrollable. This year, it's almost like they're willing to hide it a little bit more, because if they were talking about it half as much as they were last year, they'd be talking about, wow, why on earth isn't Aaron Rodgers at practice with a team he's got minimal time working with a coaching staff that, yeah, okay, they've hung around, but you got to work reps for repetition. It's about reps. It's about practice makes perfect. It's about doing it in practice and sharpening it so when it comes into a game, it's flawless. And when it's done flawlessly, you get big plays. You win football games. And right now, the Jets are seemingly in the same position they've been in for years. No quarterback. How much different of an offseason impact has Aaron Rodgers been to the Jets as Zach Wilson has? The hype with Zach Wilson. He's banging moms. His mom is smoking. Zach Wilson's too little to play football. Blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers, Jets are going to be the best. They're going to win everything. Oh, he went down. Let's shut the hell up. Aaron Rodgers, it's okay that he's not at camp. He's doing what he needs to. Jets are going to be fine. That's what I keep saying. Jets are going to be fine. Fine? I'm talking about the AFC, bruh. The AFC. Not to mention that the champion freaking Chiefs, who the Chiefs have a whole slew of offseason problems. Holy cow. Can another Chiefs player please get arrested? Holy shit. Like, they've had like 7 people get into some legal shit. The latest one, dude, did you guys hear about this latest one? I'll get back to the Aaron Rodgers smearing on the Jets here real quick. Did you guys hear about the latest arrest from the Jets guy and what he's being charged with? Chiefs defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs was arrested and booked earlier today. This is today. On charges of second-degree domestic violence and burglary designation, according to the Tuscaloosa Police Department. So, yeah, just another Chiefs player tripping. I don't know what the dealio is. Anyhow, so we're just saying that Aaron Rodgers not being there is fine, and that the Jets are going to be all right. That's what Jets fans are saying. They want to talk about everything else other than Rodgers right now, because to them, they're looking at MVP Rodgers. They got the most rose-colored glasses I've ever seen in my life when it comes to their team, and most importantly, this quarterback. And I've got a lot of respect for Rodgers. Tons of respect. He's a damn good quarterback. At least was. I can't remember him playing really well since the Dolphins game, where really I don't think Rodgers and the Packers won that game as much as Tua fell apart in that game. So even then, the last time I saw him, I was not impressed with the Rodgers I seen. It's not the Rodgers of old, little old twinkle toe back there, shedding tacklers and using that arm. Shout out to Roberto renewing his membership, using his membership thing. Woke up in cold sweats thinking about Tua contract, then realized the Jets are still burning the pile of trash and fell back asleep with a smile. That's right. That's right. They are. And this will help you sleep better, this soliloquy I have on the Jets, because it's the facts, Roberto. What's up, Cap for Life? Salute. Michael K. Talk about the pit calling the kettle black. You never heard Dudfin fans talk about their team. That's all we do is talk about team. You listen, Michael K. You can go to all these other channels and spaces and all the other little fucking things that are available. Because I'll tell you what, there's no shortage of Dolphins content creators out there right now. In fact, I would say we have an overabundance of it these days. And they're going to sit there and sing the sweet nothings of the Miami Dolphins to your content, Bills fan. That's just not how I get down, bro. As you probably know, Michael K., I go where I damn well please, and ain't nobody going to stop me. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with this Rodgers situation. Yeah, I know you meant the pot, doofus. They do suck, Craig. I do think that if I'm realistically projecting something out of the Jets, they could be a great football team. They got all the right pieces. I even like their coach, Saleh. I do. I've liked them for a while. But when I see this type of stuff from the leader of the team, it's just more of the same, right? It's some big, high-priced free agent that the Jets bring in that takes all this money, and every moment that they can, they spend their time away from that city, away from that team, away from that franchise. It's no different than anybody else I've seen that's a big-name free agent go there. That's what they want. They can't wait to get away. They come there, they take the money, they go, I want to get the fuck up out of here. They don't like New York. They don't like the people. They don't like the fucking team. The colors suck. The whole nines. It's terrible. It's a terrible place. The only thing they can sit there and look at and think to themselves, thank goodness, is that I'm at least not in Buffalo. That's it. And sadly enough, at least Buffalo has like heart, right? Like their fans have heart. I will give them that. Like at least when the Bills players play for Buffalo, they feel the love from the fans. When you're a Jets player, first of all the things I said for the reason that you don't want to be a Jets player. But the fans are terrible too. The Jets and the Patriots are identical in the fan base and everything around it. The only difference is the Patriots were winning all those years, which meant at least players that were competitive and wanted to be winners had something for a payoff. Whereas the Jets, they've just been doing nothing but losing forever. And there's no other good reason to stay there. The money's good enough of a reason, but the taxes and the living expenses and all the other stuff that goes along with that franchise and the media and the fans are terrible. It's like, God, can't I just go back to anywhere other than this? They'd rather go to play for Tennessee. They'd rather go play for Carolina. At least they're respected. So, Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers stuff, continuing to be a bit of a weirdo. Now, I talked about it a little bit earlier. Larry Zonka, kind of losing his cool a little bit when, but anytime somebody tries to measure the 72 Miami Dolphins to anything other than perfection, Larry Zonka doesn't play that shit. And so let me know if you guys can hear it in chat. But listen in here to how Larry kind of, stands on business.
Greatest team. We took the goddamn thing. Right. That's what happened. I'm tired of people telling me how they named us. They named us shit. We took it. I don't have any emotional response. No,
obviously, you're aware there have been some rankings that did not have you number one. Were you at all surprised that you would number one this time?
Talking about how could you rank any teams of all time and not have the Dolphins 72 team as number one? Because the reality is that team won it again in 73. But if you take that team and all the games they played, they were number one by a long margin. When you look at dynasties and what the Dolphins 72 team was compared to other dynasties that even won more Super Bowls, right? The manner in which the Dolphins won them, no one stood a shot. So it's just the facts.
No. I'm not surprised.
I'm sure you felt you deserved it.
Well, you're missing the whole point. It's a team sport. When you achieve perfection, there is no single entity that leads in that perspective. You don't have the leading rusher. You might not have the leading wide receiver. You might not have the leading tackler in the game. The fact of the matter is that you concentrate more on winning than individual performance. So when you talk about great entities in the league, those are detrimental to the winning aspect because you become one-dimensional. So if you all work together and don't let your egos get in the way, which is easy when Shula has his foot up your butt, then and only then you may attain a perfect season.
Beautifully said. Once you check your egos and work together as a cohesive unit for one common goal, to put aside your egos, to take the coaching that is coached to you for the reasons you might not always understand. You might be pulled as a guard or a tackle and put out into space, and you didn't block anybody. It might happen twice. But the time in which they come around the bend and you set an edge outside and they take one for a touchdown, you didn't realize that was what we're doing. We're setting something up for something later while setting this play now to be successful this way, to then when they see this same look, they overcommit, and now we can take advantage. Such a highly cerebral game when we're talking about perfection in this sport, because until you have that type of discipline where the ego is at the side, you could be the best running back the first 6 weeks, but not take a fucking handoff week 7. What's up, Color?
Can I? Good evening. Good evening. Could I actually add one more little statistical note?
Absolutely, as long as I can bring Ali up here.
If you consider the loss in the Super Bowl in 1971 to the Dallas Cowboys, and you consider and you add the 3 wins that we had before that Super Bowl loss to the time we lost the game in 1973, we went on a 21-1 run.
Well, I think the Bills fan in chat, the new guy, the Joel Diaz I see in here, he's in here trolling. Or wait a second, is he trolling? Who's he trolling?
I'm kind of confused. I was trying to read through his shit. I'm kind of confused.
Is he trolling us or is he trolling Michael K?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That also being said, Michael K, it's easy for us to talk about other teams as well as our own team because we're not banned from our own team's YouTube community channels and podcasts alike. So,
well, even if we were, we have our own, so suck it.
Yeah, so suck it. Exactly.
Ali, I'm glad to see you're back home. Had a nice vacation with the family. You want to tell everybody where you were and what you were doing?
Yeah, man. I took the family up I-95, stopped in DC and went into some museums and checked out some cool shit. Had some really expensive but good food. Then we went to Philly, hung out in Philly for a bit, and then we went to the Jersey Boardwalk. Went up and down the boardwalk, and it was a lot of fun.
Just perusing around.
Yeah, man. Just having a good time with family and stopping at some cool shit and doing some, seeing some sights that my kids have never seen before, Well,
that's good, man. I think that's awesome. Way to be a great father on Father's Day. That's what a good daddy does. I like that.
Yeah.
Believe you.
Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. My son just went to his buddy back down south. He's going to stay there a week. He left this morning. He's been looking forward to this for months, since we moved up from Naples area. He's got a buddy that, they've been wanting to go hang out with. And so he's been able to go down there for a week. So he's super excited.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. No football this week for him, but I'm going to still go out there and coach the boys. So Got to still, they ain't gonna get off that easy. You know, make sure these kids are ready.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, says that he's going to be the voice of reason.
is that right? Well, thanks.
Well, I will tell you this: the Miami Dolphins community has a reason already, and he definitely is more understandable than you are. So we don't need your voice of reason, but thank you.
So, something that happened this past week that we didn't talk about was the Kirk Cousins incident, Ali, and I'm glad you're up here because this is again another example of the Dolphins. And I want to remind Dolphin fans this, right? For all of you guys that don't know, Stephen Ross has worked, and I've got my criticisms of Stephen Ross. He is not free from my criticisms because I personally believe it's more about money than it is about winning with him. And he could tell me anything he wants, but I don't care what you say. But I will say this, right? He has fought, unlike the Hunt family, who's owned their team forever, he has fought tooth and nail to win the respect and likability amongst the other gajillionaires that own these football teams since buying the Dolphins. And I know a lot of guys are like, what are you talking about, El Cap? I don't get it. Listen, when you buy into the NFL, you are buying into a close-knit club that already exists with a bigger knitted club of billionaires that are scheming amongst each other in ways that, they want to be successful with their teams, but also remain successful with their financial franchises as well. So don't think that this isn't about it's about winning with some of these guys for sure, but it's always about money as well. And I just want to point that out. Now, the reason why Stephen Ross, just like every new owner, which Stephen Ross isn't, he's on the team for quite a while now, but every new owner has to, dude, they have to fight uphill. Look no further than the Broncos, who just sold to the whatchamacallit,
Walmart.
the Walmart family. Yeah, the same Walmart family just got that, and they got some weird stuff going on. The second that they get bought by a new team, the Panthers owner, the one that was short lived to the one that is now, the Commanders owner, you'll see it with him after the team as Anyhow, Stephen Ross was a big part of the USFL or UFL back in the 80s when John Elway went to the other team. I forget what the hell was it called, Ali. Anyhow, he was an owner of one of those teams with Trump and the rest of them and stuff like that. And I don't want to take this down a political type thing, but when he became an NFL owner, there was plenty that didn't want him as such. And he made in with the availability to bid on the team through votes of the owners by the slimmest of margins, right? Even be allowed to bid on the team, he got in through the slimmest of margins. So that being said, he has fought an uphill battle with, I don't want to say earning their respect because they'll never respect him, but earning the ability to do and be what other NFL owners do and be, and not get absolutely railroaded over it. And let me land on this, and I want to hear what you got to say. I'm pointing this out because the Dolphins were docked immensely, first round draft picks and fines and all kinds of stuff for trying to court Tom Brady while he was with another football team. Literally out of the horse's mouth, Kirk Cousins admitted that was so. While he was still a Viking, was courted by the Atlanta Falcons. And to me, the Atlanta Falcons were so worried seeing what the Dolphins got in trouble with and how far in which they went to tamper with the league's rules, that they drafted a quarterback in the first round. They could say that it was for building long term and anything they want. No, to me, it's yes, that, and it's also we might not be allowed to play Kirk Cousins week 1 and we just paid him money. We got to play somebody. We got to cover up one mistake with another. You see what I'm saying? That's how it's always looked to me. And for the NFL to ultimately come down with a ruling that they're going to lose a 5th round draft pick next season's draft, and then some BS fines, $250,000 in fines, which is jack shit, and it's $50,000 for someone else or some. I mean, it's just, we're talking peanuts. It is such a punishment to not fit the crime when measured to what happened with the Miami Dolphins. Go ahead, Ali.
So, first of all, in regards to Stephen Ross, as you said, he became an owner within the slimmest of margins, right? And when you look at it, there are things that he has done and brought to the league that the other owners didn't really want to deal with.
Celebrities was the first one that he did that other owners did not want to do. He brought celebrities as minority share owners.
Provided them partial ownerships, like a 1% type of thing.
Not even, but yes, just to get them around more. Put it this way: Taylor Swift coming around the yonder is a Stephen Ross doing. Yes. I don't care what anybody says.
Okay. So there's that. There's also, look at all of the investments that he did in the stadium and the F1 track and the tennis courts and all of that stuff, right? Those are investments that he paid for himself. He did not use city, his populace around him's money, the local residents' money. They're just like, okay, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to front it myself, right? Owners don't like that. They don't want to spend their own money, right? So you have that. You also have the partnership with the Hard Rock. That was a really big uneasy thing that they dealt with and whatnot, right? And then this is the one that it's really doesn't have anything to do with money, but it has to do with what's going on in the political climate, what has gone on in the last political climate in the last 2 years. The Miami Dolphins were one of the first organizations that actually put in a I don't want to call it a foundation. I'm not sure what the right word is, LCAP, but it had to do with about inclusion and about
well, basically, the best way to put it, Ali, is the foreign policy program that the NFL now allows you to carry one extra man on your 53-man roster and it not account to them as a 53rd man. As a free guy to carry, the international program, the Miami Dolphins with Stephen Ross spearheaded that idea, doing that. Going international.
I'm talking about it has to do with minorities, bro. And I forget what they called it. He had this whole program and it had to do with civil rights and all the different things about minorities and stuff in the league and whatnot, right? And that is one thing that we like to tout ourselves because we're one of the few organizations that had more minorities in the executive levels than any other team that was out there. You know what I'm saying? So he did a lot of things that the
broke the norm of how things were going around here.
They didn't want to have to dip their hands in it or anything. You know what I mean? And that's something that has been going on, and it is kind of political. You're absolutely right. That's just the way I see it. And when it comes down to it, the NFL has always had a love-hate relationship with Miami, no matter who the owner is. So even when we had the undefeated season, the founding fathers of the NFL said, no, we're not going to allow this to happen again. You know what I mean? So that's just basically how it is. But they almost let it happen again with Tom Brady. But luckily the Giants stepped in and said, no, we'll take care of business and we'll not allow that undefeated season to ever happen again. So I don't know. For me, it's more like this is ridiculous. They basically gave us They took one of our first round picks because it was Tom Brady. If it was anybody else, we probably would have ended up with the same thing that we saw that with Atlanta. That's basically what it comes down to.
I would say that you know, circumstantially taking that from the Dolphins, I understood. But since then, we've seen other cases where nothing is there's no repercussion, or in the latest case with Kirk Cousins, it's a 5th rounder. The punishment doesn't fit the crime. And here's what I really wonder, right? Here's what it feels like as the Dolphins fan in me. It's unfair that they're using an unfair punishment. And I feel like the only reason they felt comfortable to take a 1st-round draft pick is because of all the work that Chris Greer and the Miami Dolphins have done maneuvering the draft board since the Laramie Tunsil trade. And I also feel like the Dolphins and this entire situation are being punished by how they pulled that trade off. And I wonder, and I've wondered this since the jump, and I haven't said it, was there a little bit of collusion then? Because that was back when the Texans' old owner, before he passed away, was there, and Brian Billick was the head coach and GM and had all this power. Did he see the walls and see that he was going to get closed out and go ahead and make this trade with the Dolphins to essentially thumb the Texans in the eye? But I would imagine that he would have made that type of trade with the Patriots, right? But let's not forget, and Color would tell you this, is that Chris Greer and the Patriots and that whole thing, that tree goes way, 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 way far back. Now, I'm not saying I'm on that it is, and it is a stretch, but I find it super crazy that massive trade took place. Okay. The Dolphins then make this blockbuster trade. The coach that does the trade doesn't even make it half the season before he gets let go. Did they find something else out that I didn't know about that during that time? The quarterback that was there's gone too. And the Dolphins were looking to get him right after that trade. They were going to give back their draft picks that they took from them for their quarterback. That shit was going to happen, bro. That was this close to happen. People forget how crazy the NFL was. The Miami Dolphins give a left tackle to the Texans and acquire all these trades, all these draft picks from them. And they were going to use those draft picks to give back to the Texans to take their quarterback. It would have been the fleece of all fleeces if they had pulled it off. It was an insane time. And I feel like the maneuverability of with the draft picks that the Dolphins seemingly had 2 or more draft picks for the next 3 years. But then they were like, no. This is an unfair advantage. You game the system. We don't like it. We don't want this to be the norm. And they took it away from us to punish us in some way because we do business within the confines of the rule. They might be bending it a little bit, and every team does it, New England. But they wanted to put a stop to it on our end. That's what I think. And hit the like button, everybody.
Yeah, definitely hit the like button. I was thinking about this. You mentioned in regards to what they hit Atlanta with and everything. It seems like in any situation, the NFL punishes based on how big or how publicized the situation is. The situation was very highly publicized when it came to Miami. They hit us big with it. The situation was highly publicized. Hold on. Let me land. The situation was highly publicized with Deshaun Watson. They hit him big, regardless if there was no charges or anything, right? And then the situation was not so publicized about Kirk Cousins. Most people didn't even know anything had happened with Kirk Cousins, right? There was no official NFL document that got publicized and put all over the Twitter, read out by everybody and analyzed by every podcast like there was with the Miami Dolphins one. We're just going to hit you with the 5th round and a fine. Have a good day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Water under the bridge quickly.
How politicized it is, or how many people out in the open know about it and are talking about it. That's how we're going to decipher what punishment. And that's what they do. And I don't like it. To be honest, it should be fair across the board. You do this, it's this punishment, no matter team or player. That's how it should be for everything when the NFL does any type of punishment. Even I understand that they're trying to get ahead of the game, right, with some of these punishments. And like there was the Ezekiel Elliott one where They really didn't have anything. There was no charges pressed. There was no proof of anything, but they still gave him what, a 4-game or 6-game
So
ban, right?
to me, right?
You need to scrap that, bro. It needs to be fair across the board. Same punishment for the same crime, no matter what team, player, no matter what. That's what it needs to be.
So I think again, and we're getting to the crux of the punishment is what hurts the brand, right? If your organization and or whatever is good enough to let it simmer to nothing, and then they can, adjudicate a punishment, it's less of a punishment if it less affects the brand of the NFL, which to me is kind of odd because the Kansas City Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl, have got team members left and right going to jail and getting arrested and in the news for all kinds of stuff, from the Rice incident to just this latest thing with their defensive tackle with the burglary and aggravated assault, all kinds of stuff like that he just got arrested for today. I mean, every time I turn around, there's some player in the news with, a mugshot from Kansas City. So it's really weird because that's the good old boy system. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. Was the Chiefs keeping a lid on all this bad behavior?
Hold on. I want to address this real quick with Michael K. Michael K, it does not matter if it was the actual owner or not. If it's a representative of the team, regardless, our owner didn't actually meet with Tom Brady, by the way. So you can't even use this argument. I think you need to go back to the drawing board, do some actual research and journalism work, then come back and talk to us about it.
Oh no, he said he was joking when he said that to his general manager, or wasn't the general manager? It was that.
No. But he's saying
Brandon Shore.
He's saying
Brandon Shore or something like that.
The owner of the Falcons didn't meet with Kirk Cousins. What's his name? Didn't actually meet with Tom Brady either.
He didn't.
He didn't meet with him.
He did not.
Scheduled a meeting, but it never happened.
So again, let's not go into the nonsense of that. Again, we'll see how more of this stuff, because this ain't the first, it ain't gonna be the last. And I want to see, and I'm measuring and we're watching the types of punishments that go with this type of stuff. And we'll measure it up to it being too extreme and unfair and bias, or it being it's extremely low and unfair and bias, which I feel like. Here's the thing, like, are the Falcons going to be a world beater? Are they contenders now with Kirk Cousins? I don't think anyone thinks so. And so that might be another reason why they're like, because I'll tell you what, you put Tom Brady on this Miami Dolphins a couple years ago, and you're talking about day one contenders. So I think that has another thing to do with the punishment fitting that crime. Well, not necessarily fitting, but how they rule on it in a way, which is bullshit. It's bias, and it will continue to be as such. The intention was there. Michael K, not only was the intention there with Kirk Cousins, but they pulled it off.
Yeah.
It was a completed intentionally and got done, where the Dolphins had intention and never got it done. It's like planning a robbery, but never robbing the fucking jewelry store. You're still committing a crime. They planned to rob the jewelry store and got caught with the jewels. Yeah, got less time than the Dolphins did.
Look at it this way. Look, how, in this, I'm going to speak in a Bills head coach analogy, because he likes to use terrorist acts when trying to describe things, right? Mm-hmm. How many times have you seen Homeland Security or the FBI stop a planned terrorist attack, even though they didn't actually do the terrorist attack? They planned it and they had intent, so they got them for it, right?
Exactly, bro.
That's exactly what happened here. We planned it, but they got us for it.
They got us for conspiracy, not for the act. Yeah. And they got them on conspiracy and the act. Completion.
I'd hate to poop on everybody's party and all.
Clear it up.
But did we forget something else we did that the Falcons didn't do?
No, I never forget, but go ahead and remind
me. We propositioned a coach to lose for payment.
Well.
And we got to remember this. Here's the thing. What Ollie just brought up about Ezekiel Elliott. They didn't need to have no evidence or blah, blah, blah. All they had to do was have evidence enough to say, we probably think it happened, so we're going to include that in the severity of our penalty for the other thing.
Well, then they need to go back and get the Browns coach for doing, not the Browns coach, but the Browns ownership for doing the same thing. Oh, but they
Maybe
didn't.
they do, but I'm just saying
They didn't, and they had no proof of that one either. Though a head coach said it did happen.
We can't forget that our owner propositioned our coach to tank for extra payment.
I think the NFL made a statement that there was no proof of it.
Against the rules, technically, you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I think the NFL made an announcement that there was no proof of it, and if there was, it was out of chest.
Even if it wasn't about payment for tanking because they couldn't prove that, it's evident now that we tanked, and tanking itself is against the rules.
But everyone does it.
Fine, but you know.
They need to go after
Everybody
everybody.
else is admitting to it. You know what I mean?
Regardless of the reason we got hit with it, that's not the argument here, Color. The argument is the fact that the NFL, with all penalties, regardless of what it is, it's not fair across the board. They might give somebody. Hold on, Color. They might give somebody a $500,000 fine, but then the other team, you know what? You're one of those really good teams that might cause my team to win. I'm going to give you a $2 million.
I'm just saying that's not the. I don't believe that was the only reason we were fined, even if that's the only official reason.
I get what you're saying. But it still doesn't make it fair across the board.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Falcons need to admit to tanking then, and they might have. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't think the Falcons tanked. I don't think they did that. There are other teams, I will say, that definitely tanked.
And maybe that's the case, but those teams haven't admitted to it. We all but admitted to it by denying payment for it. In other words, by us saying, no, he didn't offer payment
we financially incentivized.
You're admitting to the fact that you tanked.
That there was implications of financially incentivizing losing,
and
which
by
is
denying that, you're at least admitting that the act of tanking happened.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's my only opinion. I didn't mean to poop on nobody's party. I got a manicotti
like button, everybody.
Out of the oven. I'll be right back.
Alrighty, all right. So yeah, I don't know. I get where Color's coming from. We are leaving out a piece of the puzzle on that, but still, dude. I mean, poaching another team's starting quarterback's gotta amount for something.
I mean, look at it this way, bro. Look at it this way. There was no official document that went out that got blasted on Twitter or anything for anybody to read that explained what they were charged for and why they got fined. But there was for Miami.
That's true. There's no paper trail.
Like they fine people and take away draft picks and penalize teams based on publicity. And that's what I hate. It needs to be the fair across the board. Oh, you did some collusion there? Okay. Tampering? Okay, this is the fine and penalty. Just like we have here with our due process, right? If you for depending on the crime, there's a certain minimum and maximum penalty, right? And that's basically how it needs to be across the board.
The due process is shady, to say the least.
It is. I understand, but what I'm trying to say is that.
Well, no, I'm saying this proves its shadiness.
They need to have more of a guideline that is publicized for everybody to understand. Okay, if they do this, this is the penalty, and they need to keep it consistent across the board.
And there's the crux of the matter, Ali.
And the other guy, you get a pass.
Right. There's the crux of the matter. And this wasn't me trying to say this is why they did it or they have a right to do that, but the collective bargaining agreement that the players signed to gives Goodell that discretion. Just like
that's the problem.
Just like in the Ezekiel Elliott case, there was enough for him to say, I believe that this or that happened, and so I'm going to fine him based on conduct unbecoming of. You see what I'm saying? Or whatever Goodell had to dream up. And the same thing here. It's like when OJ, rest in peace, when he, got in trouble for the stealing his trophy or his rings by his Heisman Trophy back or whatever. Remember? And they kind of threw the book at him. And a lot of people think that they threw the book extra at him as punishment for what everybody thinks he did with the Nicole Brown Simpson thing. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Goodell has enough in his own mind to say, I believe that's what the Miami Dolphins did, so I'm going to add that to their penalty for this or that over here. It's not fair, but it is what the players signed to in the collective bargaining agreement. That's all I'm saying.
I would say it's just more proof of the inner circle that truly exists in the NFL ownership, as well as more of the, in crowd ruling of justice and them distributing a sense of how they feel street justice amongst their product, which is their right. But I don't have to like it, and I'm certainly going to point it out when I see the disparities in it. So hit the like button, everybody. We are coming up to the 1 hour mark. Make sure you guys are subscribed. If you're watching on Facebook, well, I don't know how you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on your television, make sure you are subscribing to us over here on YouTube and liking and sharing and everything like that, and donating and becoming members of the channel. And also, guys, make sure to check out TFTGnetwork.com for new gear coming all the time.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Fins Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Fins Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Boom. All right, so let's move on to one last thing from NFL news and all that stuff. We talked about it on Thursday night color commentary. It was about the Calais Campbell signing, which, I mean, Dolphins fans are ecstatic about, myself included. I find it very funny that it comes off of the tails of the Trevor Lawrence extension, which, I mean, we talked a lot about that a couple days ago as well, and we're going to peel back a little more of that before we get to our final segment. But, listen, Calais Campbell, leader, going to be on this football team, no doubt, still has a lot in the tank. As far as what he achieved in his career last year as a starter, it's not too different in production from what we were getting out of Christian Wilkins. Yes, there is more upside of Christian Wilkins, but for the dollars to dollars amount, which we don't know the exact amount yet, which he earned $7 million last year with the Falcons. I don't know how much in guarantees it was. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, dude, there's no way that this isn't a good signing, especially with injuries on our front seven, that Calais Campbell is most certainly going to be impactful in the early part of the season. And for Weaver, who knows him and has a history with him, it's going to be great to install this new defense and have a guy that speaks the same language and get the young guys up to speed. We touched on that as well. Here's what Weaver had to say some time ago. I believe it was in 2022 when Calais Campbell was with him. This is what Weaver had to say about Calais Campbell. Listen in.
Yeah, so he's got grown man strength, right? Outside of his age. He is just a massive human being. When I stand next to the guy, I feel small, and that happens not very often at all. But outside of that, his knowledge of the game, So he can take in everything from a pre-snap perspective and use it to his advantage, where a lot of younger players can't. So some of that disruption you see is certainly his talent, but it's also just his FBI and knowing when to take those moves.
So how much do you bounce off with him?
I mean, I think that we played together in the league, so there's not many guys I can say that about. Dwayne Brown, who are going to play with the Jets, I played with him my first year in Houston, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for Calais. So guys like him, whether it was J.J. Watts I've been around and Kyle Williams, I'm going to let them do their thing. I'm always going to refine and tweak and make sure that everything's right. You're always making sure the car's in alignment and it's going straight, but they have the things that have worked for them, and I'm just trying to make sure I can mold what we do around that. Yeah, so
again, excellent addition. I don't see how it's a miss in any way, shape, or form. To me, good news up and down. Man, am I skipping or is it just me on my end, guys? I can't tell. Let me know in chat if I'm a little skippy, because I feel like I'm a little skippy skip. Am I skipping on y'all's end, or is that just me?
The video is a little bit in StreamYard, but the audio is fine.
What's going on, Color? Damn it.
Just finishing dinner real quick.
See what's going on here. I'm going to pop in and out. Hold it down for a second, Color.
Yeah, I was just actually going to say, the only, excuse me for being on stream while I'm eating, but the only thing what I would add to what Cap said is there's one pushback that I've heard. Everybody I've talked to is obviously happy with it, but happy is also tempered by, hey, let's look at reality. And the one thing the fair pushback that I've heard is 37 years old, going on 38. He's going into his 17th season. But then when I pull up the stats and look at his whole overall spreadsheet, the guy has had consistent seasons, all 17 of them. I mean, all 16 of them. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no drop off from last season. His best seasons were his first couple of years in Jacksonville with 14.5 sacks and 10.5 sacks in those 2 years. But he's consistently been above 5 or 6 sacks, right around, maybe probably averaging 6 to 9, I'd say, a year. And last year, when you look at his combined tackles, assists, all that kind of stuff, tackles for losses, had a fumble recovery, a few other things, and the 6.5 sacks, you're thinking this guy's virtually got the production of Christian Wilkins. And there's no reason to assume that he can't do it for at least one more year, considering last year he actually performed above his own averages. What are you thinking, Ali?
I'm sorry, man. I don't know what you said because I had system issues. I just got back up.
Yeah, just overall opinion on Calais Campbell as far as, is there any, because everybody seems so happy about it and seems to think it's a right fit and all that. Any concerns besides the age on your part? And I just kind of destroyed the age argument.
Age is just a number, bro. That's the reality of it. Age is just a number. You can still be older and still be effective depending on what you got left in the tank. What I think about Calais Campbell is the fact that I think it's a good signing depending on the money, obviously. I think he was very, very effective even at 37 last year, and I think he'll be very effective for us as well. No, it's obviously Christian Wilkins is much better. I mean, the guy's younger. He's just now hit his prime and everything. So I honestly think it's good business. And as long as it's just a 1-year deal and we're good, bro. I don't understand why it's even in question. Can you guys hear me, or am I all by
Yeah. Well, I heard you, everything you said, buddy.
All right. I've been having system problems, so I'm sorry.
You're good. To me, this Calais Campbell pickup is solid as hell. It's going to be reflectant on the exercise that I'm going to do with the front seven, and we're probably just going to go ahead and round out the 53-man roster, and we'll see what's left.
Do we know what the money is by a chance?
No, we don't have clarification on the dollar amount. I will say this. It can't be any more than he got last year,
and technically he hasn't officially signed yet, right? Because we haven't got the official.
We don't have the official agree to term signing, but they signed him. So
Okay.
I think it's already done. We just don't know the details of the contract work at this point.
I got you.
I will say this, right? He's obviously going to end up on this 53-man roster, and when we break that down later, it's going to be a nice roster. And I have some tricks that we're going to slide into that and that last bit of result. But before we move on to the final segment of the 53-man roster projection, I do want to go into a little bit of the talks about this Trevor Lawrence deal, right? Because now some of the word is coming out about the Trevor Lawrence deal. So for you guys, for everybody who's waiting on this Tua Tagovailoa deal to come across the beat, and we're seeing the numbers. Oh, he's making $55 million a year, and yes, that's his average annual salary of $55 million a year because he got a 5-year extension for $275 million. But that's not the actual dollar amount, and we're going to go into that here momentarily. Here's the thing when we're talking about Tua, though. To measure his details of his contract that he's desiring up to Trevor Lawrence is wildly different. Trevor Lawrence is getting paid before playing his 4th year. Tua's trying to get paid before he's playing on his 5th-year option. So there is something there that I feel like Tua and his people, especially when he changed representation at the end of his 4th season, are looking to get. They are probably saying something that is ringing very true to the Dolphins right now. And that is the Dolphins say, look, let's put this on the table. Let's put this on the side for now and get through this season, talking about 2023. And one of the stipulations that they wanted to see is if he can play an entire year without injuries. And him meeting that benchmark is front and center of the biggest argument in contention for his representation to prove that he's worth the money that they're asking. Dolphins can, push back and have, all this other talk. But when you say something along the lines that the thing I want to see from you most is you can make it through a full season into the playoffs without injury, and you do that, you kind of want to stand on that business, right? Now, there is stuff where they're projecting his growth, his health problems are better, and that he'll be a better player and a healthier player going forward as an athlete through his career. The Dolphins can, on the other hand, push back on that. So there is a wide number spread, and we're talking close to 30 million is what I'm hearing in difference of money that they're talking about, mainly guaranteed dollars. And the way in which they've structured and put this new Trevor Lawrence contract sounds like a big number, but it's seemingly more of a deal for the team and more incentive for him to restructure in a couple of years. And they're getting him cheap. They really are. And I'm going to go into the details. And I feel like the Dolphins are probably pushing some form of contract like this onto Tua Tagovailoa, and they're probably liking a little bit more of what what's his name got. They want more than what Goff got. That's the bottom line. They view their product better than what Goff serves, and that can be debatable, and it very much is. Goff much more proven, but there's less tread on the tires with Tua. And then again, Goff hasn't had the injury history that Tua has, so that kind of evens itself out, and it's very gray area, for lack of a better term. But that doesn't mean that they don't have to fight for it. Goff getting in more guaranteed money than Trevor Lawrence on a per year capita. It's only a 4-year extension, but Goff got 170 guaranteed, and the way in which his contract is structured as such, in 3 years, the team is going to have to renegotiate with Goff, and Goff knows it because they're going to carry close to $80 million in a 1-year payment to him. So Goff's going to play this year and 2 more, and then he's going back to the bank because they're going to have to either cut him and give him like a bunch of money over the next 2 years. I think it comes out to like closer to $50 million over a 2-year spread, or they're going to have to restructure the deal and figure out the remaining ass load of money that they got to pay Goff, where it's much different here. And the money with Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence signed a 5-year deal worth up to $275 million. That giving him an average salary of $55 million a year, which is the number everyone is going nuts about. The reality of that $275 million, only 200 of it is guaranteed, which in a 5-year window is only $40 million a year in guaranteed dollars. Funny enough, guaranteed at signing is only $142 million, which is a different benchmark that teams are now using as an actual signing statistic. So I'm going to try to go through it as best as I can because it's a 5-year extension, right? And let me look how they did it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they wrote it in to start hitting by picking up his 5th-year option in this deal, and is basically his contract now going through the 2030 season. So that's this year, and then 5 more seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 6 more seasons. So they'll have this 4th year with Trevor Lawrence, his 5th-year option, and then his 5 years beyond that. So the guaranteed dollars that Trevor Lawrence was already getting this year and in his 5th-year option, he gets $147 new million guaranteed to him over the next 5 years. That new $147 million on top of this year's guarantees and next year's guarantees has been spread out through the 2028 season, which allows them to put a lot of the dead cap that they're spreading out in these earlier seasons off to 2029 and 2030, where the dead cap numbers go up from $47 million in 2028 all the way up to $78.5 million in 2029 and $74.8 million respectively in 2030. All numbers that they can get off of with zero dead cap. They have a potential out for the 5th year in that deal, in this new contract. So let me go through with it very quickly. He's making $13 million. Hold on a second. Let's see. They've spread out this signing bonus. So So he'll make on the books $15 million. I'm gonna do the math too. $15 million for 2024, $17 million for 2025, $24 million for 2026, $35 million for 2027, and $47 million for 2028. Add in bonus options of $2 million plus 2, and then he has other, where are they at, signing proportionate bonus options that come up, and that'll bring him just south of the $147 million in new money. They will only owe him $7 million in that $147 guaranteed at signing. They will have paid $140 million of that through the 2028 season. The remainder amount of the $200 million, which is $60 million, is owed to him over the next 2 seasons, but they can get off of it. And they can carry that dead cap. Wow. They can carry it and spread it out all the way to 2032. I'm looking at. So really, Trevor Lawrence is going to have to go back to the table probably at the end of the 2027 season to avoid playing on the 2028 year, because if he gets injured in that 2028 year, he could lose his job and get cut, and they would save themselves, let's see, 59, 63, $70 million. They would save themselves over a 4-year sample size of dead cap. So
The option proration is what's allowing them to spread their dead cap around.
Dude, the way in which these guys, I mean, look, if you're looking at it on paper,
Yeah.
it's almost written out, including his 4th year and his 5th year. It's written out as a fucking 8-year contract on how they can manipulate the money.
Yeah.
Now they backloaded it with pretty much in dead cap that they're paying for up front these first couple of years to not hit their cap. They're paying upwards of 150 million in 2029 and 2030, but they can get out of all of that money and spread it out over 4 years for minimal amount, buddy. I mean, we're talking 60 million spread out over that because that's all that they'll left to owe him because they only have to pay him that 147 before the end of 2028. So that's the deal. He signed 2 guaranteed deals. One that guarantees him 147 million through 2028 season. And then after that, he's going to get another 60 million, but not really. It's really hazy on how they've put in the words. There's like a $35 million roster bonus that he could lose, which takes away money from the 2029 season, and then they spread it all the way out. So he'll get like 21 million 1 year and then 14 and 7 million the following year, and they won't owe him no more money. So it's really a crazy thing. He's really betting on himself, and I don't know who his advisor or representation is, but he must really want to stay there, or he could have got a little screwed. And Tua and his people are not looking for a contract with this type of language in it, bro. I mean, just listen to this: 142 million guaranteed at signing. That includes the signing bonus, plus the 2024 salary, plus the 2025 salary, plus option bonus, plus the option bonus salary of 2026, and then that also includes 29 million of the 2027 in compensation, meaning that they could cut him at the end of the 2027 season and carry pretty much the remainder of the 47 million for that 147 million. He's going to make all 100 million in the next 4 years, which doesn't seem like a lot, dude. It really doesn't. The additional 12 million of the 2027 salary is fully guaranteed March 6th in 2026. With an injury guaranteed at signing. So if he's injured going into that year, he'll get that money anyhow. So look for a 2026 end of that season injury from Trevor Lawrence and his people pushing to get a new deal done because they fucked up. Or they can do it in the 2027 season because look at this. At the end of the 2027 season, or excuse me, in 2028, he has 46 million fully guaranteed come March of 2027. So he probably won't do that until then. So he'll need to be healthy through 2027 because he wants to get that 46 million that's left on there. And then 2025 has a $35 million option bonus guaranteed. 2026 option bonus guaranteed. 2027 option bonus guaranteed of 35 million again. But what's funny is that it says 2027 option bonus is 35 million. Only 29 of it is guaranteed. And there's a no trade clause. Crazy. The no trade clause is probably the best thing he got in that whole deal because then at least if he does have the injury that prevents him from, playing a season for a hold-in type of situation that they very well may feel entitled to do because of production, they might hold in on a injury and they can't trade him to get out on the money. And that's how they maneuvered it. Very, very, very interesting. The more details coming out about this, the more we'll learn. But wow. Hit the like button, Flipper. I see you. G, what's up, homie? Hit the like button. Kevin, I see you. Tyrone, Shelby, everybody getting in here. CCRR, Cap for Life. Hit the like button, everybody. Welcome new people. I see a couple new people in here. Please, guys, hit the like button. So, when we get to Tua's contract, I've been saying it since the jump. Tua's people want $215 million in guarantees. that actual money of guaranteed at signing, I'm sure the Dolphins don't want to go a hair over 150, and I'm sure the guaranteed at signing money is the money that they're really arguing over right now with that. Because I feel like the Dolphins have come up with a very reasonable figure. They want that average salary to be in the 50 million range, right? They want to say Tua's getting 53, 54 million a year in average salary. And to do that would be a 5-year extension. Now, that 5-year extension would not include the 2024 season. And so that's how they'll report the contract. Let me say it again. 4 years plus a 5-year would be 5. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about 5-year extension. We're talking about 6 total years. Okay? That includes 2024 and 5 years after that. In which case, come at the end of the 2027 season, they'll be looking to pivot if they can contractually. So whatever guaranteed at signing, that's when in which they'll have all that paid up, the guaranteed at signing through the 2027 season heading into 2028, potentially, which would mean Tua would get, say they decide on actual guaranteed at signing, say they decide on $160 million, correct? So Tua this year is getting how much? 23 million? We'll just call it an even 23. I know it's not that exact number. That means the Dolphins will have $137 million that they need to pay for 2025, 2026, and 2027. So that gives them an average of $45.67 million a year in guarantees that they got to pay him. Extremely palatable. An extremely palatable number. The highest amongst any quarterback, because Deshaun Watson's getting $46 million. He would be getting north of, he would just be getting south of $46 million. So it would be the second most expensive in a year-to-year sample size in those first couple of years, including the guarantee at signing. If he gets beyond the 2027 season into the 2028, that's when it's going to start tapping into the $215 million in guarantees. But I do want to point this out, right? $215 million guaranteed, including the 5th-year option over a 6-year sample size, puts Tua at $36 million a year in guaranteed dollars. And that's what they don't want. They don't want that. I think Tua Tagovailoa's people are asking for the hefty guaranteed amounts in a 4-year sample size amongst 5 years, including 6. And I know everybody's like, oh, shit, Chris, you're fucking losing me here. I'll make it easier. He's getting $23 million. They want that not prorated. They want that put in the not in the pile. They want that anyhow, meaning that Goff is getting $43 million. They want $43.5 million. So 5 times 43.5, that's $217 million plus $23 million. That's $240.5 million over 6 years. Divide that by 6. We're now paying the $40 million of Trevor Lawrence a year. That's the deal they want. Mark my words. That's the deal they want. Hold on a second. My dog's barking.
Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Turn on notification bell. How's everybody doing today? All this math has my head hurting. Why can't they just get the deal done, El Cap? Why can't they just get the deal done?
Come here, Stinkies. Come here, Stinkies. They can't get the deal done because it's so much minutia now. It's not as simple as it used to be. And it's not as simple as it's ever been. And it was always complicated, right?
Yeah.
And they're figuring out ways to not sign a player for money that they can't maneuver. That's it. That's it. They're like, we'll give you $215 million, but I want to be able to get rid of you after paying you $150 million in 3 years, and I'll give you the remaining 50 over 3 years. But actually, I'm not going to do that. They're saying that that's what they're going to get, but how I'm looking at it on here is that once they cut you for 1 year, they're only going to owe you half of that amount. So really, yeah, you might get more than the 150 guaranteed at signing, but not much more. And the only way you can guarantee yourself more is hitting the benchmarks I've allowed in place for you. And players are trying to get more for doing less. That's the way of America, buddy. I want the most I can get for doing the least I can as well. But there's got to be incentives in there. And whenever this contract does come out, I promise you this, I am going to break it down and I'm going to pull up other people's contracts. I'm going to break it down. I'm just going to make a short video, a couple minutes long. I'm going to do a lot of legwork on it to really put it in a perspective of how things are working, because it is so much different than what we know. There's cap hit numbers that are so high up that you're like, how could anyone ever afford this? But you see the plan of, geez, dog, why don't you knock some more shit over? You see the plan of how in which a team has protected itself while paying a quarterback. Yeah, they're getting, what looks to be $55 million a year, but in actual dollars, they're only getting $45 million a year.
Let me ask you something, El Cap. So when you look at the Trevor Lawrence deal, it could be argued that some of the parts of the deal are put in place that kind of allows him to renegotiate his deal later on, right?
It does.
And the reason I'm bringing it up is could Tua's people or athletes first or however you want to reference them, his representation, could they be trying to get the bag and the flexibility to renegotiate a deal a lot sooner than you were talking about 5 and 6 years and stuff like that? Maybe they're trying to get the bag, get the highest paid, but also have the flexibility to say, oh, we got more money coming in, I want more money. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say? Like they want to get paid, but keep on getting paid.
Yeah, they're signing off on a deal that eventually puts so much financial pressure around the corner that it brings them back to the table to get money back again. And really the crazy part of it is, Ali, is that more often than not, depending on how the player's career is going, whether it's a quarterback or a playmaker or anything, they're really just trying to get a new contract to guarantee all the money that they were supposed to get and a little bit more. And that's how it's always been, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It just sounds and looks so different now.
I'm just because if you really look at the Trevor Lawrence deal, yeah, it seems like a lot of money, but the way it's being broken down and the verbiage that's being used and stuff like that, it just looks like, okay, they're saying, hey, we're gonna pay you a lot of money now, but we're gonna give you the flexibility for when it comes time that we can renegotiate to a more marketed price that we feel that you're worth at that point, a later time. You know what I mean? And that's to benefit, Trevor Lawrence. But in Tua's case, you got athletes first who want him to be the highest paid everything, right? And then you got the Miami Dolphins who feel that, yeah, you did do a lot and we want to give you a contract, but we have a set number, And then you look at every year we're going to have an influx of more cap space. I kind of like what Cap for Life says. Maybe they're trying to double dip, get the bag now, but have the flexibility, get the bag again midway through the contract. You get what I'm saying?
100%. I guess it's all case by case, right? Like some of these guys might feel a little bit more. I don't know. I don't really understand it. Honestly, it's crazy. I think when we're talking about athletes first, in a way, they're just trying to push up the cap number on every position. So when they get guys underneath with more guaranteed dollars, it's more palatable to the uneducated fan. I hate to say that, but when you look at what Anthony, hold on a second. God damn this dog. Hold on.
Who is? please point out the law degree that gives you the right to talk about contracts. I don't have a law degree, first of all. I'm just talking about contracts because we're a fan. We kind of want to know what the money looks like. I'm just analyzing it because I want to know how much Miami is going to have money left to do anything else.
I will talk about contracts all day, every day. I am a student of the game, and I know math better than most. And that's it. That's the reason. I don't need that. And as far as a law degree goes, I'll fucking school a bitch at some law right now too. At least Florida law. Fuck around and find
Let
out.
me ask you a question.
Please show the high school degree that gives you the authority to type on a keyboard.
Hold on. Let me ask this question. What law degree did Lamar Jackson have representing himself, or
I-O.
Larmy or Tunzel
Tunsil.
when he represented himself? What law degrees did they have? None. So we're just talking about it because we're fans. And as El Cap said, he's a student of the game. He knows math better than I do. So I appreciate that. Thanks, El Cap, for the work that you do.
Got you, buddy. So here to look at what Ali is coming up with when we're talking about athletes first. They have they represent Anthony Winfield Jr., the safety from Tampa Bay that signed the most expensive number for all DBs per year, yada yada yada. Now he signed a 4-year deal worth up to $84.1 million, right? He got $20 million signing bonus, and it averages out to $21.25 million a year. Here's the thing, though. Guaranteed at signing, $45 million. Total guarantees, $45 million. Now, how they structured his contract is he's only getting guaranteed $45 million. They have an out because they're paying him money up front of $20 million. His cap hit this year will be $8 million, $4 million due at signing, $4 million of a base salary, and then he'll get $25 million next year. So if you look at those numbers, that's $20 million up front, $8 million plus $25 million. That comes out to $53 million that he'll have been paid through the 2025 season. They then could cut him at the end of the 2025 season, or excuse me, at the end of the 2025 season, and they will spread out the remainder 2 years of $45 million and they'll carry $12 million of dead cap and spread out the remainder of the $45 million owed to him over the next 3 years, which would be let me see, because they've already paid more than they need to on that. So let's see. 2026, 2-year out, fully guaranteed. Oh, wow. So no, they'll only owe him $12 million after that. So he'll actually get all of his $45 million pretty much by the end of the 2025 season. And that'll allow them to cut him, and he'll only make $12 million. So in retrospect, it's a really good contract for him and an even better contract for them to see through, depending on what benchmarks he puts in, because they're paying with the bonus, they're backloading it into the signing bonus of $20 million. They're backloading that money through 2027 and 2028 and only going to carry $12 million in dead cap in 2026 if they were to cut him at the end of the 2025 season, which he would have already made $53 million of. So really, it says he's only getting $45 million in total guarantees, but because of the cap hit of $25 million, they're not going to be able to cut him at the end of this season and get the money back. So they did maneuver it in a way where he's going to get his $45 million plus 12 more, and there's nothing they can do about it. So that's actually a pretty decent deal, much different than what I just seen from the Trevor Lawrence contract, where he's getting a lot of money, but after 4 years, he's making bad money and doesn't have leverage until year 5. Where on the flip side, Jared Goff is getting all of his money in 3 years and has so much leverage for years 4 and 5 because it's a 4-year extension. He already had a deal for years 4 and 5, which would be years 3 and 4 of the new 4-year deal. He has so much leverage over that team to demand a new deal, and they're going to demand that he gives a new deal because they're going to have $78 million, I think it was, on cap of that 3rd year. So Garrett Grimes, I'm looking at that Wingfield deal, and that's worth every dime. So, and I feel like it's worth it on his end because he's getting more in that guaranteed at signing money in the next 2 years than even if they cut him after 2 years, it doesn't matter. He's still getting more than that amount because of how they've maneuvered the bonus system. So the minutia of bonus money and where they're taking it and giving it is really in that middle part of the years where teams are looking to backload it. These representators of the team are looking to carry more responsibility of it in the middle of it. So they have, at the very minimum, their players going to get paid more money before they get chopped up out of this bitch, which other guys do it a different way. Like Jared Goff's guy, they're going, hey, we're willing to make this very palatable amount of money, but come here in 3 or 4 years, we're going to have your feet to the fucking fire because we know what the money is against your books because you're backloading it early. Very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how. I mean, to me, Trevor Lawrence got a bad deal. He got a bad deal. It seems like he got a lot of money. He didn't. And it seems to me, with the way in which I'm looking at the contract right now, he has zero leverage other than $38 million that he can get and hold in the 2026 for the 2027 season. He can do a hold in the 2027 season, getting $38 million and force them to the negotiation table. And bookmark this right now, people, because I'm telling you right now, if the 2027 season is starting and Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a new deal worked out with his team, he will go down with injury. It will be a pseudo injury. It won't be real. Even if it is real, I won't ever believe it because he's only getting $38 million and he has zero guarantees for the future for the remainder $60 million that he's going to want to get. And that's not even what it's going to be worth come that time. So that might be what they're thinking, but I don't know. And TD Frauds Talk in the chat, just so you know, my cousin Vinny won the fucking case too, buddy. He won the case. So talk about unintelligible talking. We're intelligent about contract. That's not even a real person, you fucking moron. God, what a dumbass. Hit the like button, though, buddy. So that's all we'll say about that until more comes out about this Tua Tagovailoa deal. Whenever it does come out, we'll say.
I did say it the other night, bro. I know people said that Trevor Lawrence is betting on himself with that deal, and I'm telling you, no, he's not.
He's not.
He didn't get paid the way.
It's not a good deal.
Caliber. And when I say caliber, like kind of like how we say that Tua hasn't necessarily lived up to the 5th overall pick. Trevor Lawrence hasn't lived up to the 1st overall pick, in my opinion.
Look, good for them really signing. Here's what I would say, right? If Trevor Lawrence loves Jacksonville, loves being a Jaguar, and they've sold it to him that we're going to give you this amount in guarantees, and you're not going to have to worry about anything other than more money you can make by hitting incentives for the next couple of years, and that's how he wanted to bet on himself. He's essentially saying, all right, till 2027, I'm going to get $150 million, and I have the potential of making 75 or 100 more million over that time period. He wins a Super Bowl, we'll see, because that's the weird thing, right? you can look and we can dissect all of these numbers. But what happens this year dictates the dead cap next year. Because when players hit incentives and go beyond their benchmarks with deep runs in the playoffs, with big touchdowns like Raheem Mostert getting all the touchdowns, you think he didn't get extra money? Hello? That stuff has to be paid. You allotted for your cap in 2023 or 2024 in this instance, X amount of dollars in guaranteed monies. Well, your player went beyond that, and you had to pay him $8, $10, $12 million. Well, that comes out of next year's coffers. That's it. Comes out of next year's coffers, and you got to pay for it. And that's how teams are allowed to go negative in the dead cap sometimes. They allow you to kind of figure that out in a 2-year sample size when players go beyond their benchmarks. They don't like to do it, and they really want you to get something done beforehand, and every team does during the cap compliance. But it allows you to look at a team that, hey, they were going to be 30 million over the cap, and turn around, they're actually 10 million, or they were going to be 30 million plus cap space, but then they come back and they're 10 million under the cap. And you're like, what the fuck happened? Well, that's what happened. It's a way in which they try to keep it competitive financially, which it's strange. All right. Hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe if you're new. We're going to get into the final part of this right after a little Fanatics promo.
New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan in 100% authentic gear. Fanatics. Officially licensed everything.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Fins Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Fins Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Link is in the description below, tftgnetwork.com. Check it out, guys. Also, Fanatics link, Dubby energy drink, all the good supporters of the program and the network are linked in the description below. Make sure to check it out. Join the membership, donate to the channel. Let's get on to the final segment. So we've been doing this every Sunday for a little while now. And we've already done a bunch of roster position breakdown, and we're going to kind of wrap it up here today. We'll go through real quickly of the previous episodes. We went and put 6 wide receivers on this football team for the 53-man roster. The 6 wide receivers are obviously Hill, Waddle, OBJ, Malik Washington, Braxton Berrios, and Eric Ikuzama coming in last. And we have sitting on the outside looking in Taj Washington, River Craycraft, Braylon Sanders, Matthew Sexton, and Jaquan Burton.
I disagree.
I know you do, but that's okay. We can discuss that at the end.
When it happens after the 53-man roster, I'll be coming with receipts. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay, whatever. It's fine. Next coming up was the tight end group. Dolphins only carried 2 tight ends last year, and this year I just think they're going to carry more as ideology changes a little bit. Jonnu Smith, Durham Smythe, and Julian Hill will be the top 3 tight ends. Leaving on the outside, looking in, Tanner Connor, Hayden Rucci, the Wisconsin guy, and Jordy Foster, the guy we picked up this offseason, which for those of you who don't know, Jordy Foster is a guy who flashes a lot in camp and kind of doesn't flash so much. Him and Tanner Connor have a lot in common. They're very flashy in preseason and stuff, but when they get in the games, they're just not there. Next, and I took one of this position group to add to the tight ends, was running backs. We have 5 running backs on the docket this year. Last year, the Dolphins carried 6, including Alec Ingold. This year, I'm having them carry 5 and giving one of those to the tight ends. The 5 running backs that are on this list are Alec Ingold, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Jalen Wright, new rookie, and Jeff Wilson Jr. On the outside looking in will be Sylvan Ahmed and Chris Brooks. So, moving on, we went through safeties. Dolphins carried 5 safeties in 2023. This year, I'm having them only carry 4, but that's now kind of different now because we had somebody making as the 4th safety. I'm going to have to add a name to this because the Dolphins recently signed, what was it, Marcus May that they signed. So right now, the 4 safeties we have is Poyer, Holland, Elijah Campbell, and Patrick McMorris, who we drafted late in the draft this year, leaving on the outside looking in Mark Perry and Jordan Colbert. I am going to take him, Patrick McMorris, off of it, and I'm going to put Marcus May over him.
I agree. I think McMorris can very well make the
practice squad.
Exactly.
Yeah, him or Jordan Colbert or Mark Perry, I think they'll take.
He's not a name that I'm afraid to put on there. So
me neither. And the reason we're doing this, we've taken one of the safeties away and added one more cornerback. Dolphins carried only 6 cornerbacks in 2023. This year, we're having them carry 7. And the reason being, plain and simple, is Nick Needham, giving them that flexibility and positional flexibility. So for our 7 cornerbacks that we have is Jalen Ramsey, Cam Smith, Kendall Fuller, Kader Kohu, Nick Needham, Sirianni Neal, and Ethan Bonner making the final 7th guy there. I think it's kind of a toss. I would put Ethan Bonner over Sirianni Neal, but again, we'll see. That's going to be a close camp battle to watch, and we're going to see what guys like on the safety group, like Patrick McMorris, Mark Perry, Jordan Colbert, can they warrant being the 5th safety on this team over and Sirianni Neal or an Ethan Bonner. And then there's other guys that are waiting in the wings on the cornerback room, hoping to make their presence felt. Jason Martist, Isaiah Johnson, and fan favorite Storm Duck. Some of these guys, we're going to see this little bit of rotation, and this is just a rough draft. This is the way too early 53-man roster projections. We haven't seen enough in camp. We haven't seen nothing out from these guys right now. So is what it is.
Let me ask you a quick question real quick. We've been talking about Ethan Bonner, and there's all this talk about it, in the mainstream media, different Dolphins community spaces and the podcasts and everything. Could this be a year that Ethan Bonner actually breaks out, have that Kader Kohu style of year?
I mean, listen, why not, right? The Dolphins continue to find diamonds in the rough in the cornerback position, and Ethan Bonner in limited snaps popped on the screen to everybody who watches. Like, who the hell's that? Oh, Ethan Bonner out here.
Supposedly, he's the 2nd fastest person on the team.
Exactly. So we very well might see it. I don't know. Again, I in the coming months, I have position group battle breakdowns that we're going to look at going off of this early 53-man roster projection. Let's move on to the last time we did this exercise, which was the offensive line. Dolphins carried 10 offensive linemen in 2023. I believe it was 10. Let me make sure of that. Hold on. Because I thought it was 10, but I might be wrong.
Well, I know it includes reigning 3-time orange shirt champion Liam Eichenberg. Shout out to him.
Yeah, Liam Eichenberg. Okay, so it was 10 that they carried in 2023. I have the Dolphins carrying an 11th guy in the offensive line on the 53 because of uncertainty in the interior. So right now, obviously, Teron Armstead, left tackle. We got Patrick Paul, the rookie we drafted. We got Austin Jackson, the right tackle. We got Liam Eichenberg, who fan favorite. We've got Kendall Lamb, who we've begged to come out of retirement to stay on this team. Isaiah Wynn, I believe, makes the team. Aaron Brewer, the newly signed center guard, which it's crazy. Everywhere you look, they have him listed as a guard, even though he played center for Tennessee there. And I just want to say, with him being a little banged up in camp, and if he continues to be so, and Eichenberg can, be the guard or center, don't be surprised when Aaron Brewer comes in here as a guard and not the center, because they don't want to mess that up. The other guys I've got on this football team is Keon Smith, who I mean, say what you will. Robert Jones, who I've liked Robert Jones. Oddly enough, Keon Smith made the 53-man roster last year. Robert Jones did not. And somebody else that did make it over Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, is the final and 11th man on the Dolphins offensive line. The 12th man, which is not counted against the team, is the Byron Mathos guy. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Oh, wait. I've got Matthew Jones.
Thank you.
As the 11th man on our list. I've got Matthew Jones, the center from Ohio State, as the 11th man.
Let me clean this up a little bit for you, LCap. He is a pure right guard who happens to also can play center. But I'm telling you, that's a name to watch at right guard. The way he moves, the way that Miami likes to use their right guards and have them pull and all that stuff, he can do that. He just needs to get his hands right, and I think he's going to be very formidable. So that's my guess.
Matthew Jones is my 11th man, and I would put him up against the likes, say if they only went 10, I would put him up against the likes of Keon Smith, Robert Jones, and Lester Cotton to see where he can overtake any of them. Guys that are on the outside looking in are guys like Ryan Hayes, that was here last year, Jack Driscoll, who was here last year. We have Chasen Hines. I don't know nothing about him. And then the two guys we got as UDFAs that we signed, Andrew Meyer, center, and Ireland Brown, a center as well. Both guys have played a lot of center. And those guys, again, will be all competing with the bottom churn of that roster. And that is really, it'll be, to me, whether the Dolphins carry 10 offensive linemen or 11, I would feel more comfortable if they carried 11. But as I'm looking at the amount of people on this football team, we're getting really fucking in the weeds with guys I don't want to let go on the defense and on other position groups. And you got to ask yourself, if the Dolphins decide to only go with 10 and they choose Matthew Jones over Robert Jones or Keon Smith, if Keon Smith and Robert Jones and Lester Cotton all get on the waiver wire and the Dolphins take 3 new guys or 2 new guys like Matthew Jones and say they go Ireland Brown, right? Do I think Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, and Keon Smith clear waivers to make practice squad? Absolutely. I don't know if there's that many people beating down the door for those types of players. Could they get picked up? Could one of them get picked up? Sure. But again, there's other guys that the Dolphins are looking at out there. And this is just the churning of the roster as it currently sits. So that brings us to our next position group breakdown. First of 3 position groups that we're going to bulk 2 of them together. We're going to go defensive line, and then we're going to go linebackers. So last year in 2023, the Dolphins carried with defensive tackles and defensive edge guys, interior guys, essentially. They only carried 5. They only carried 5 interior defensive guys. And the 5 guys they chose was Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Emmanuel Ogba, Raekwon Davis, and Brandon Peely. Those were their 5 guys. So the Dolphins right now, and this is the part it gets dicey, right? Because I'm looking at our coach. I'm looking at what they, what are they trying to achieve as far as a new defense with Anthony Weaver, right? And there's certain names I'm going to say right away, and I'm going to go ahead and put 2 names on that defensive line category, right? Number 1 being Zach Sealer. Number 2 being Calais Campbell, who we just signed.
No brainer.
The Dolphins currently, today, on their defensive friggin' interior have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They have 13 defensive tackles and defensive ends on the team right now. And we're going to try to bring that number down to 5, which is crazy to even think, because I'm telling you right now, I've got 3 of the 5 right off rip, easy, that no one's going to argue with. We've got Zach Sealer, we've got Calais Campbell, and then we've got defensive end Mo Kamara.
Wouldn't you put him in the linebacker group?
No.
So that's 3 guys. That means we have 2 guys left to pick out.
We got 2 guys left, and I want to just rack off. I'm just going to rack off the names real quick.
I want, before you do that, I want your explanation why you wouldn't put him in the linebacker group, because technically defensive ends are considered outside linebackers.
Because it's my list.
Because officially he is listed as a defensive end, not a linebacker. That's the only reason why.
Right.
He is officially listed as a defensive end in the NFL, not as a linebacker.
Okay.
Might have to do with his weight, because he's 260, maybe. I don't know. Which he would be if he was playing the linebacker position. Let me just look real quick. If he was in the linebacker room at 260, only 2 linebackers weigh more than him. And they're both outside linebackers, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips.
Right.
So Mo Kamara, and here's the thing. He's not even 260, he's 252. My fault. But he's
I don't even think he has the height to play defensive line, bro. That's why I have him on the edge.
Wilkins was kind of short, dude.
Anyhow, look, I think on draft,
I would disagree, but okay. All right.
I think on draft reason alone, he makes it, right? And it's interior, because we're going to go into the linebacker group next. And again, defensive ends and defensive tackles on this team, they have 13 of them. They've got another, I think, 13 or 12 linebackers inside now. So we're going to break that down next.
So we got two slots for and 10 guys to choose from left, right?
We've got 12 slots and 26 guys to choose from.
No,
It's
I mean on D line.
We have too much. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. So let me just go through it real quickly. The remaining interior defensive line guys. We have Grayson Murphy, which is a rookie out of UCLA, the guy that is a walk-on. I don't think he makes the team. I could be surprised, but I feel like other guys will be prioritized. We have Neville Gilmore, who the Dolphins picked up this year on the offseason. People are writing him in as a starter, as a guy that's going to make the team. I don't know. I think they brought in veterans and they brought in the guys that they have along with younger dudes, and they're just really going to go and see who wins these 2 or 3 jobs that they're going to have. We have Deshaun Hand, who's still there. Deshaun Hand has a good shot at making the team. I don't know. I like this guy that the Dolphins picked up. Young guy going into his 5th season in the NFL. Jonathan Harris. the guy we got. I think Jonathan Harris, off-season signing.
That's our new Ogba.
That's he's a defensive tackle, but yes, essentially, I foresee him as, dude,
big name
he's
guys,
290, 6'5", 290. That's our new Raekwon Davis, is what that is.
Right.
I'm putting Jonathan Harris as my fourth guy right now.
I had Jonathan Harris as one of my guys too.
So down to pretty much one final spot, and we'll give the defensive interior 2 final spots and take us up from 5 to 6 this year. We'll see. We have Benito Jones, which to me, Benito Jones gets cut. No one's calling him. I think we don't have to put him. Mario Kendricks, which is a rookie out of Virginia Tech. We'll see what he's got, but right now I just don't know. Isaiah Mack. I don't know enough about the guy personally. Brought in here, can't body, gonna get a shot. Leonard Payne Jr., the Colorado guy. Rookie, 300 pounds, 6'3", defensive tackle.
He'd be a center guy.
Like a zero tech.
Right.
To me, Leonard Payne is brought in here as the guy that's going to push the other guy that is my 5th guy on this D-line, Tier Tart, the guy we brought in from Houston. I think only one of those 2 guys makes this roster. I'm going to look to see if Leonard Payne can, as a rookie, as a UDFA, and Leonard Payne or Tier Tart, who is known for lollygagging, for lack of a better term. He's known for lollygagging at times. Can he lose early in this Miami sweltering heat in camp? Could he lose his job to a UDFA? I think he could.
So, Cap, do you think that the job between those the spot is between the competition is between those 2 guys?
No, I think there's a third. I think there's a third guy that's in that.
Are those 2 guys individually against Peely?
Thank you. Peely is the guy, and I think Peely is only underneath Tier Tart on production and usage alone. And I'm going to put Tier Tart as my 5th guy.
But Peely over the UDFA just until further notice.
That's it. Richard McLean, I definitely agree. Edge is not D-line. I agree with that. I'm disagreeing with you guys. I'll go with the exercise that you're doing. My 2 guys in your scenario is going to be Tier Tart and what's the guy Gallimore or whatever his name is?
Neville Gilmore,
right? However, I don't think they list Kamara as part of the defensive line as a defensive tackle. I have him.
Didn't have it. I have him as a
with
defensive
400
edge.
other linebackers.
I have him as a D edge. So
D edge is still not part of the D line.
Yes, it is.
No,
it used
not.
to be.
It's the edge of the fucking defensive line. That is the D line.
I'll tell you what it's really going to be, though. I'm going to tell you what it's being. You can mark this down, and I'll bring my receipts when it happens. Obviously, the 2 names that you said are a lock: Calais Campbell and Zach Seiler. No brainer, right? I think it is going to be Tier Tart. I think it is going to be Jonathan Harris, and I have Gallimore. Those are my 5 defensive linemen that they keep if they keep the same amount, and Brandon Pilley and everybody else is looking in. Even Deshaun Hand is looking in. That's what's going to happen.
Do you think Neville Gallimore is going to make it, huh? Over
because Neville Gilmore is somebody that actually stuffs the run. He's that nose tackle that you really want in the middle, depending on what we're running at the time. Remember, we might not always run a 4-3. We might be running a 3-4. You know what I mean? So you want guys that are versatile.
We never really had a problem stopping the run on the interior. It's getting to the quarterback we really have an issue with.
Well, yeah, but
from the interior is what I mean. From the interior is what I mean.
That's why you brought in hyperactive edge / linebackers.
No, I'm saying getting to the quarterback from the interior, middle pressure, up the middle. You know what I mean?
I understand.
I mean, Zach Seiler's arm alone is worth another half a guy in tackles. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
For the run.
We still need to be very careful with the run. So that's
Right.
why I think they brought him in, and those are the three guys that I think that end up making this.
You don't think Peely takes another step from a rookie to a sophomore, and
I think they really like what
spot?
he has. He can definitely give. I will say he may give Harris a run for his money, because that's in the
I think Harris is too big a name for Peely to.
Yeah, I think it's more towards Tart. Honestly, I'm putting Peely versus Tart all day.
Okay, one of those two guys. I think he's going to push
Peely over the UDFA, because look, the UDFA could. What I'm saying, Ali, is the UDFA could turn out to be just that. You know?
But I also think that Brandon Pilley is a player that we're not afraid on. We're not afraid to put him on the.
Right, he'll survive waivers. Right,
exactly,
right. That's what I figured you'd arrive at.
Just with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
What of these players is gonna be on the list because of injury? Yeah, not the practice squad.
A lot of these guys are going to be able to clear.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. What do they call it? Because of injury,
IR.
Yeah, which guys are going to be either on IR or the whatever.
So I've already taken that into account. And the Dolphins, right now, we have 5 interior linemen, including a defensive edge guy, Mo Kamara. And they did the same thing last year with Emmanuel Ogbah as a defensive edge in their 5 count. Okay. My point is that the Dolphins only had 7 linebackers. And I'm telling you right now, there's 7 linebackers going to make this team. And they're going to have to put some people on this is why Mo Kamara isn't making it as a linebacker, because there's no way in which they're going to be able to stuff their roster in this way that you're talking about. So right now,
could you, if you're going to put Mo Kamara in there, wouldn't you consider Shaq Barrett also in your scenario?
Yes, I could consider Shaq Barrett a defensive edge, more of a D-edge guy. But again, always came in the draft as an outside linebacker, has been listed as an outside linebacker, and he still is such listed as a linebacker. It's done in a way because the edge pass rushing position got so inflated on price tagging that they've learned to put him more in a linebacking group, where when the players get franchised, they take it from linebackers and not pass rushers as its own fucking category. It's just the way it is, bro. That's how they've maneuvered it in a way. Anyhow, so let's just keep it at 5. So we're gonna put, for right now, how I have it, I have Zach Seiler, I have Calais Campbell, Mo Kamara, Jonathan Harris, and Tierre Tart. And the guys on the outside looking in that'll be competing is a litany of guys. Let me go ahead and write all these names down because that's how I've been doing it. Brandon Peely. Go ahead and talk because I've got like 10 names to write down.
Well, I really like what Brandon Peely brings. I like a lot of his skill set. I hope I haven't seen or heard anything from him this offseason, but I hope he has gotten a little bit bigger and, got to studying, and I'm excited to see what he does, see if he makes this roster. Yeah. What do you got, Color?
Color, when we saw Peely in camp, he stood out, Color, remember?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it really depends on whether he takes another step as a first-year to second-year guy.
Yeah.
In which case he could easily become somebody that that might not survive waivers. But the general thought I could see is that he would. But again, I really think that last spot would be fought against the UDFA. And look, you really got to stand out as a UDFA. You got to be something really special for them to kind of knock out a guy that's put in the work, you know what I mean, with the team and the organization.
One guy you guys are talking about from Colorado, Brandon Payne or something like that, I think was his
Leonard
name.
Payne?
Yeah.
Payne.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Like a wrestler's name.
Yeah, I know, but it was somebody that did more of a deeper dive on him, and I can't remember. It was in a conversation I had that they read that he doesn't always go all in like every play. You know what I mean? He doesn't put it all in.
So here's the full list of guys looking on the outside, looking in. So we'll go real quick. Defensive line, which includes defensive tackles and defensive edge line guys. We are carrying the same amount as last year, 5. And the reason I'm putting it only as 5, mainly because of the Calais Campbell signing. That's number 1. Number 2, the list of guys that are on the outside looking in, any one of them could end up inside the 5 and then someone else end up on the outside of the 5. But I question this. Which of the names, whether it's the 5th guy that made it or any of the other names that didn't make it, are getting picked up by other teams and not going to clear waivers? So right now we have Zach Seiler, we have Calais Campbell, we have Mo Kamara, Jonathan Harris, Tier Tart. Those are the 5. The guys that are on the outside looking in that we're hoping to clear waivers is Brandon Peely, which is probably the first guy that would get snagged up on waivers by somebody else. Leonard Payne, Isaiah Mack, Mario Kendricks, Benito Jones, Deshaun Hand, Neville Gilmore, and Grayson Murphy. Those are the guys on the outside looking in. Now, 2 or 3 of those guys, Gilmore, Deshaun Hand, Brandon Peely, are all guys, maybe even Isaiah Mack, are all dudes that could very well get scooped up by other teams. But isn't there other guys that are going to get out on 53s that we can pick up? Like how much more desirable of us needing that practice squad guy to potentially put in a rotation on a game day versus to what if we put Tier Tart out there or Jonathan Harris, they're most certainly getting picked up for certain. You know what I'm saying? You put Tier Tart on your practice squad as your 53-man roster cut, he's getting picked up. That's it. He's going to get picked up. You put Jonathan Harris, he's definitely getting picked up. Mo Kamara, he going to get picked up. Maybe not, though. Maybe Mo comes out there and he just looked completely out of his depth. Yeah, he might get picked up, but the Dolphins might say, you know what, Peely is worth it over him. So we'll be watching
on how much work the other teams did on him during the draft. Like there might be other teams that already have things they want to check out in him. So, a rookie like him might go and, he might get picked up by somebody else who already kind of had a resume on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there could be a team that did a lot of work.
The first thought is you wouldn't pick up a rookie off waivers like that close because, you don't have time to do the work on the guy, But if there's teams out there that already have done work on him, and kind of ready to plug him in, because remember, other teams out there have spots where their guy is so bad they would take a new guy like that and it would still be the best on their team. You know what I mean?
So let's move on. Again, we have our 5 currently today, weeks before anything of substance to come to make any decisiveness on who's going to stay or not. So let's go ahead and move to linebackers now.
The 4,000 of them?
Yeah, there's a ton of linebackers. Dolphins carried 7 last year. The 7 Dolphins linebackers that were carried on the roster last year are as such. That is Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Jerome Baker, who's no longer here, David Long, who's still here, Andrew Van Ginkel, who has gone, Duke Riley, who's still around, and Channing Tindall, who is this the year Channing Tindall gets cut.
And good. Well, I guess technically by the end of the season.
Well, that's don't count. Good was a 53-man roster cut that cleared waivers we were able to keep.
Yep.
So right now, the Dolphins on their 53-man, well, not on their 53-man, but on their current roster, signed to the team before any cuts, before 90-man, before 53. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. God damn, why does it keep skipping? All right, hold on a second, because this site is jumping around like I'm trying to fucking.
You got a drop of water on your screen?
No, I don't.
Read them off for you.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So I was right the first time. There's 13 guys on their list right now. Right now, there's some guys that have been signed that I think we can go ahead and immediately put on this team. I think quick and easy, right? Chop Robinson. Definitely making the 53.
Yep. And in our situation, possibly a first-day starter.
Probably. An off-season signing of Shaq Barrett making the team.
Yeah.
I think Jordy Brooks, off-season signing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys were brought in and signed specifically because they were already thought to be ready, and you know what I mean?
I don't
Even if
think
they're not
David.
the greatest, they're still guys that are like day one starters, you know, that were staples on their team.
David Long Jr. ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Yep.
Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 guys.
Name the 4 just so I don't like repeat somebody you already have.
Chop Robinson, Shaq
Uh-huh.
Barrett, Jordy Brooks,
Uh-huh.
David Long Jr.
Okay.
All right. So then we're getting a little bit more dicey, because right now we have 4 guys, and we really technically only have 3 spots to fill if we're going to match last year's 7-man. Now, right away, I would say if these guys were healthy, there's our 3 spots, and that's
right.
Jalen Phillips, that's Bradley Chubb, and that's Cameron Good. All 3 would take up those 3 spots.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. You can only put 2 guys on your protective IR at the start of the league
Right.
roster, unless you're going to deactivate someone all year round. So to me, I feel like the Dolphins are going to probably put Chubb and Phillips on that IR.
You think so?
I do. And I do because I think it's too much of a risk to put one or the other, God forbid both, on the 53 and roll into the season essentially for the first couple of weeks with only 5 linebackers.
I mean, based on the video we saw, I'm almost, even if you're talking way early 53-man roster, I'm almost willing to say it would be fair that one of those guys makes it by the start of the season.
And I think the one that's closest to make it is Cameron Good.
Really? Well, see, I was going to ask about his status first of all. I didn't even know where he was at. With the, what do you have, a broken fibula or something? I mean, he had that's a pretty bad injury what he had, if I remember correctly, or broken patella or something. Dislocated.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, so just give me 1 second.
So I was referring to Chubb and Phillips, assuming that Cameron Good, you would just risk him on the practice squad anyway. Again, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If he's not ready to play, you know, injury-wise. But I think Jalen Phillips might be ready to go, man. If I go by Mike McDaniel's MO, then yeah, you're right. I'd have to agree with you that they both go on IR. But if Mike McDaniel is willing to let one of those guys push it, being, let's say, Jalen Phillips, based on what he was looking like at this juncture in the video we saw, I mean, you're not hopping around and like that dancing if your Achilles is not feeling good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Bottom line. And maybe he ain't ready right now to have the get off and the jump and whatever else. We still got a long ass way to go before the season starts, man. And I think Jalen Phillips might actually make it, dude. That's just me. But
so
If you
There
want to
is
be
no
fair and throw
status
him on already this early, go
He
ahead. But if you
suffered a
want to go ahead
ruptured patella injury, is what it was.
Yeah, there's no
well, real
status.
quick, just to land real quick. If you guys want to put them both on the IR and open those 2 spots for other guys, I'm fine with doing that too. You know what I mean? I'm just saying,
Well,
I really feel like Jalen Phillips.
Before we make that decision, let's actually talk about some facts here, okay? First of all, Cameron Good, there is no status update for him, right? What we do know is that Jalen Phillips has been working his ass off and even was running around during OTAs and parts of minicamp, right?
And he was like kind of hopping, like he was like, I don't know. I guess
and
we'd have
even called out. I think it was either Omar or somebody. He called them out, trying to say that he's not ready yet, right? I honestly think one of the two does come back, and they're not going to put him on the IR. They're going to put him on the what is the other thing that they have? There's that other
the PUP.
Yeah, the PUP. They're going to be on the PUP list, is what I think.
Well, we'd have to look.
One of them will be
how
on.
all that works too.
I honestly think you talked about deactivating somebody for the whole season. El Cap, I think it's Cameron Good. Because if memory serves me right, his injury, there was questions if he was going to even be able to play this season. And I don't think he's ready.
And Ali, I mean, if you're talking about a broken something like that, and anything really, I mean, that's the kind of injury that could put out a guy that, again, look where his trajectory as a player being, late round pick, kind of not expected to do anything, what most people would just think of as camp body or whatever. And, a guy like that, it's like he really, and I'm not trying to speak for him. I know everybody has heart, so I don't want to sound like that, but that's the kind of guy that would take a injury settlement and never play again with that kind of injury. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. And the other thing you have to think about too, Color, is the fact that we brought in 2 guys that fill that role also, and at a very high level. So
now that being said, I would be so like, my respect for the guy would go blow out the window if he freaking got himself and had every intention of coming back and playing, you know what I mean, and made a career still, you know what I mean? I would be like, wow, you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing.
There's a dude that was like, F you, Color, you know what I mean?
Here's the thing, gentlemen. Okay. I'll put it to you like this, right? He had a patella injury, which is the least of injuries. It takes 3 to 6 months to return from a patella injury.
Right.
An Achilles
I don't know
injury
nothing about that part of it. I just know I'm
12 months.
I'm just coming from a pure sociological.
I know, but I'm gonna give it to you the facts so I can tell you why I think it's different. An ACL injury is what Bradley Chubb suffered, and that could take 3 to 12 months, depending on the severity of the injury and all that other stuff. A Achilles injury with Phillips suffered takes 6 to 12 months. A patella injury takes 3 to 6 months. To me, Cameron Good is the guy they put on the team because he's going to be the most ready. And I hate to say this because it's cynical, but he's the least valuable. That if they were to put him out there too soon and he, got injured again, it's the least. It's the lesser of two evils.
It's the least amount. I get you. I agree. That aspect, I agree with you.
So again, he should be back the quickest and should be the least likely to hurt the team if he were to go down again. If you rush back Chubb and you don't get him for the end of the year, that's going to suck. If you rush back Phillips and you don't get him back for the end of the year, you kill yourself because you need to know what you got with this young man, because we're talking about money too and the future.
Now, you don't think that Good would still clear waivers though?
I do think Good would still clear waivers, right? Especially if they want to look, they might maneuver all 3 of these guys with PUP and IR, depending on who and what is where, right? They might put you know, Bradley Chubb, because he's a little bit older and he's had some knee problems, they might put him on that late season PUP list where they can't get him back till week 12. And they might put Jalen Phillips on the IR list where they can get him back after week 4. And Cameron Good might be the other guy on that IR list that ends up such. Now, if somebody important goes down somewhere else, Cameron Good gets moved to the back of that line, and they might force him up on the 53 if they think that he'd get picked up by somebody. Also, again, maybe they don't think anyone's going to take him. But right now, we've got a lot of linebackers sitting on here that we haven't even took a look at when we're worried about 3 guys that would fill up the 7-man roster because they're injured. Mm-hmm. And it's an odd way to even look at it because there's still other guys that are going to be vying for the final 3 positions. Because I'm going to read them off to you real quick. We've got Anthony Walker Jr., guy we picked up this offseason. Fans are super high on him.
Oh, real quick though. Hold on. We gotta take care of this right off the bat because the 3 linebackers we just talked about are all edge specialists.
Not David Long. You're talking about the guys we're talking about now. Yes, you're right.
The 3 that are injured, they're all edge specialists. Right. Cameron Good is Jalen Phillips' backup. You know what I mean? So
and funny enough, out of the 4 guys we've only got 2 off-ball linebackers and Jordy Brooks and David Long Jr.
Right. So we got to differentiate with the guys we're talking about because if we're talking about replacing Cameron Good, we're talking about replacing Jalen Phillips' backup as an edge rusher.
Well, we've kind of done that too. We've kind of done that. We've got Chop Robinson and Shaq Barrett already on the fucking list.
Hold on, Color. Hold on real quick. This is why I disagree harshly that Mo Kamara be part of the defensive line. You need to bring him over here as part of the edge, bro.
Well, you're wrong, Ali, because I'm going to tell you, you've got too many names in a 7 linebacker. It doesn't
matter if I have too many names. Look, think about this.
It absolutely matters because you're talking about right now.
Scenario. Let's talk about your scenario, right?
Okay, go.
You have both Chubb and you have Phillips that are going to be probably on the IR or the PUP list or one of the 2, or that's what you're saying, right? So you have that. Who are you going to put in place of that? It's going to be Mo Kamara and Chop Robinson, right? And then you have Shaq.
The defensive edge guy can play defensive edge. Players.
One of those goes down, you need to have a backup, right? And that's why I personally think that your 3 edge players that you're going to have are going to be Mo Kamara, Shaq Barrett, and Phillips.
Kamara, defensive edge on the D line, not in the linebacker unit. Because if I put Mo Kamara in the linebacking unit and add somebody else to my D line unit,
why do you have Phillips? If they're edge specialists, then why do you have Phillips and Chubbs in the linebacker unit?
Because they're outside linebackers,
and that's why I think Mo Kamara is also an outside linebacker.
He's not, because you will not drop Mo Kamara out into the flat to cover passes unless you really badly want to get exposed in space. That's why. Plain and simple.
I just think your math and your thought process in this is wrong, bro.
Your math is completely wrong because I'm telling you right now, if I took the likes of Brandon Peely, Leonard Payne, Isaiah Mack, Mo Kendricks, Benito Jones, Deshaun Hand, Neville Gilmore, Grayson Murphy. If I put any one of those guys in place of Mo Kamara and put Mo Kamara as the 5th guy, that means I have 2 names left I can put on my 7-man outside line or linebacking unit. And Mo Kamara is, dude, he's not better than a lot of the guys I'm gonna list off to you. Bottom line.
In linebacker position, how many positions do you have?
Linebacker position, we have
without
off-ball linebackers, and outside linebackers.
And how many
inside? And how many?
On your list, how many are there?
13.
13, right?
Well, we also have outside guys that are coverage specialists that never pass rush, that are never edge rushers.
They're off-ball linebackers, inside linebackers that play zone.
So I'm going to tell you straight up, my list includes David Long, right? Jordan Brooks. And then I also have Anthony Walker making this team, right? Those are my three, like,
over Duke Riley.
Over Duke Riley, yes. Those are my three guys.
But okay.
Right? Then I have, you can say I'm wrong, but
I got you. I think Duke Riley will make it over him on the inside linebacking unit, but go ahead.
Okay, all right. But then I also have for outside linebackers, I have Phillips and Chubbs making this team. I have Shaq Barrett making this team. And I have both our draft picks, bro. Both Chop Robinson and Al Kamara in that group.
So you have 8 linebackers right now. That's how many linebackers you have. 8.
I have 8.
That's 8. You just said 8 linebackers. That's one too many.
So you think I'm wrong? Go ahead, go for it, bro.
Well, okay. Duly noted. We will duly note your objection in the record, Ollie.
Because I'm going to be coming for heads when it happens. I'm coming for heads, bro.
Hold on, check it out. Is it possible, though, Ollie, that they could run Mo as a DN and just kind of like tween him if necessary?
The same argument of what you're bringing in. See, what I think is ridiculous here is the same argument that you're bringing in to put Mo Kamara on the defensive line is the same argument I could have that Shaq Barrett should be on the defensive line.
Well, maybe they may do something like that.
And either way, it's like,
I mean, there was times where I saw Chubb and or Phillips rushing from the inside on occasion. It's not like
do you guys remember
play on the inside line? You know what I mean?
Do you guys remember when in the early years when Cameron Wake was smoking fools as a pass rush specialist, right? And then I forget the defensive coordinator we had come in, the Yonder, but they started taking him and not taking him as a defensive edge rusher and putting him more as an outside linebacking role and having him drop back into coverage. That's the only clear distinction that you make from an outside linebacker to a defensive edge setter.
Right.
That's it. That's the only clear
Ali,
distinction.
You remember, Ali, when we were in camp and we're watching like the linebackers and how they had like 2 separate groups and only Cameron Good and Chubb and Phillips were working as edge rushers, right? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Now I could see a situation where Mo Kamara might do some work with them in warm-ups or whatever and keep that skill going in case they need to tween him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I could certainly see that. But if it's just strictly trying to manipulate the roster to make sure all the guys needed, like Mo Kamara, make the team, then that may be why they put his designation as D-line. You know what I mean? I think that's what Cap's trying to say. Like, I get your point totally. You know what I mean?
So right now,
because here's the thing. Before, God, I don't even remember in the 2000s when this evolved that way, but they never had an edge rusher category designation. It was always either a star D end or a star DT that was that edge rusher. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, they were back in the days when Reggie White. Back in the days when Reggie White
was a linebacker
was killing people, they started calling him after his career was towards the last few years as a defensive pass rusher and edge, but he was always just a D lineman, Reggie White. That's
right.
The thing.
And I think they went back and changed it and Mandelaed us because I'm pretty sure Derek Brooks was or Derek Thomas. Who was it that out in KC? They got like 1 billion sacks in a season. I'm pretty sure he was not a linebacker, but if you go look now, it says he was a linebacker.
Yeah, they're Mandela affecting us on it. So here's the deal.
Let me ask this question real quick, and I'm not going to hold up your time too much. This will be really easy. When it comes to the IR or the PUP list, is there like how does that work? Like, can we put people on the PUP list but keep them as part of the 50? Like, how do I
think it just protects them for a different number of weeks or something?
Well, no, what I'm trying to figure out is, like, for example, I kind of do feel like some of these people are going to end up on our roster, but what happens first? Do the players that are going to be on IR or make the 53 first, and then you have to hope to God they don't get picked off of waivers? How does that work?
If your team is on, if you have a player on IR or PUP, they can't get picked up. They're safe. There's just designations on the IR and the PUP list. right?
So the
There's
person
some that are
you're gonna
deactivated for the
hold
full
on to
year.
in place of them, right? They
They-
don't go
they're-
to waivers.
They're not. They don't account to your 53-man roster.
Okay.
There is a different thing where you put somebody. They have to be on the 53, and then you can put them on an IR or a pup. I don't know how that exactly.
See what TD Frauds Talk has to say. I can't really read it right now, but it's something to do with.
So to recap, the pup designation must come during training camp, but can carry on over into the regular season. The IR designation can be used at any time, but only those who make it past the 53-man roster.
So you can only IR somebody after they've made it
from the list.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I'm reading if a player is still injured after 6 weeks, they can be removed from the pup, placed on IR.
But what they can do is they can put the guy that's going to be on IR, they can put him on the 53, put him on IR immediately, and then immediately bring whoever they risk on the practice squad up into that position.
Yeah, and that's where things are getting real dicey for the Dolphins right now, because they're going to have to carry guys that are injured and then make do with whoever made it through waivers. So let's see.
And of course, we're at 21st when it comes to chance to pick up off waivers. We have to go through 20 teams every time for all the guys that have to clear waivers.
Let's see. I'm trying to see
How
if
many
I can find
quarterbacks
it.
did you say we're keeping?
We're only keeping 2.
Okay. All right. I'm with you there.
All right. Players placed on the reserve/pup list amid the 53-man roster deadline cuts must sit out at least the team's first 4 games. So that's what it is. So if you're put on the pup list before the 53-man roster cut, you're sitting out 4 games.
Right.
And that's where the Dolphins are going to maneuver some shit. And to me, I believe each team gets 2 players on the pup list. To me, they're going to find out which, if not both, of those players that aren't ready, and they're going to put them on there, because it's going to be very risky to carry, one of your 7 guys on your 53 and know that he's not going to be there for the 4 games you're probably looking at, right? You might as well put him on the pup, not hurt your 53, and bring up one of these other guys that you've brought in here in the 13 dudes. So right now that we've got in these linebackers, we've got Quentin Bell, we've got Cam Brown, we've got Cameron Good, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. God, dude, this fucking thing is not having a good day today.
We got a lot of dudes.
Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, Zeke Vanderbo, who's obviously not going to make the team over a lot of these guys. To me, there's no room for to carry a Channing Tindall on this team right now. To really just say, hey, we're just going to give this guy more time. There's no room on that on this roster. To me, the Dolphins do carry Duke Riley. He's just too invaluable as a piece.
You mean even though he bought Patrick Mahomes' constipated run?
A lot of people have done that, Color.
I know.
So I think Duke Riley, man, it's just such a fucking mishmash of guys right here. Right now, I've got 5. I've got Chop Robinson, Shaq Barrett, Jordy Brooks, David Long Jr., Duke Riley. I'm going to put Cameron Good on. I think Cameron's going to make it.
All right.
I think he comes back healthy enough and is showing what he's got. And Here's the thing. Is it Anthony Walker Jr., Channing Tindall with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb put on the pup? Or is it Phillips or Chubb put on there and that's the end of it?
So you don't have Walker making this team at all?
I don't. I don't
Well,
have
that's what I'm
Walker. I have
saying.
Walker making the team if both those guys end up on the pup.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I think
Phillips,
they do.
If Phillips ends up a go and there's only one spot left, then it's Anthony Walker. If Phillips ain't a go, we might not be done yet. They can go bring in Hyde or somebody.
I think the Dolphins double dip at the linebacking unit. I think they do it for pass rushers and for outside linebackers. I feel like they do it schematically. And I think the Mo Kamara defensive end kept on the defensive tackle unit, on the D-line unit, allows them this flexibility to make a bold type of move. And the bold move is going to be putting Phillips and Chubb on the PUP and living without them for the first quarter of the season, maybe even till the sixth, beyond the 6th week, which is their their bye week. And they're going to roll out into the season with pass rushers and inside linebackers named Chop Robinson, Shaq Barrett, Jordy Brooks, David Long Jr., Duke Riley, Anthony Walker Jr., and Cameron Good.
Oh, so now you do have him making the team.
I do, because I have both Phillips and Chubb on the PUP.
Oh, okay. All right. So they're not making the 53 initially until they're on the PUP.
They're making the 53 when the designations of PUP gets put on. That leaves Cam Brown. Hold on, let's put these names in here. Quentin Bell.
Quentin Bell sounds like a hell of a linebacker name.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like a good safety name, too.
Mm-hmm.
Channing.
By the way, I did a little research, Ali.
Oh, good.
I did hard research. That's what we do around here, people. We don't get caught off guard. We don't walk on eggshells when it comes to name pronunciations.
Hell yeah.
Stuff. Nope.
I had
we do hard-hitting research around here, ladies and gentlemen. And I can confirm that the young man that just committed to whatever college that he committed to.
Michigan.
Well, I'm sorry, Ali.
Eastern Michigan.
Eastern Michigan, yeah. Noah is his name.
Yes.
His last name is in fact a German name. I confirmed it. I asked my mom, who is German, and she thought it might be European of some kind. So I put it in the word itself into Google Translate and discovered it is German. So once she knew it was German, she was able to properly pronounce it for me as a word. Now, as a name, we got to go by what the kid says, but it's very similar to what the kid said. It's simply like okay, so like the word noodle in German is Knödel. His name is Knega.
Gotcha.
And that's how it's pronounced. It's German. And not only that, what Google translated it to, this is how I know it's a German word, because Google gave a direct one-word translation.
Just for the people out in the audience who may not be aware of what Color is talking about.
Well, real quick, the word means, directly translated, it means etiquette.
Gotcha. Let me just give some context so people know what we're referencing. Not everybody may not know about.
No context necessary. Context is on the screen, but go ahead, Ali.
The player in question's name, his last name, is spelled with one additional letter that can also be said when using a racial slur. So it was asking, how do you say this person's last name so you don't get caught using a racial slur? That's basically where the conversation sparks.
It's true.
So,
and it is a German word,
yeah.
And the K is pronounced.
Imagine that.
It's a very quick K pronunciation in German. It's just like the word noodle, knödel.
Yeah, and thank you to Noob, who figured out, who lives in the Indiana area, because I guess this kid went to school near where he's at and was able to verify how it's pronounced. Because someone else said, no, everybody's calling him the same way you would say that word. And I was like, I'm not saying, I'm just going to call him Noah, damn it.
She said that the I in German would sound like an E, like Knie, right?
Yeah.
But she said because of the double G, it changes that I to an A sound, like he said, like Kanega.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know you had your own emoji now too, huh?
Oh, do I?
Sticks of butter.
Oh no! Oh man, that's awesome. Now I gotta find a way to afford a membership.
So,
but real quick, the word literally translates to etiquette.
Gotcha.
One word, direct translation.
Gotcha.
So here we go. We've got our 7 guys with putting our top 2 on PUP, and this is how the Dolphins pull this off. Our 7 are Shaq Barrett, Chop Robinson, Jordy Brooks, David Long Jr., Duke Riley, Cameron Good, and Anthony Walker Jr., the 7. And then Phillips and Chubb both put on the PUP. This leaving Cam Brown, Quentin Bell, Channing Tindall, and Zeke Vanderbilt on the outside looking in. This will round out these next couple of names, because I have the Dolphins only carrying 2 quarterbacks this year, Tua Tagovailoa and Mike White, and they're going to let the cards lie where they may. If someone wants to pick up Skylar Thompson, then it is what it is, and they've got the UTEP kid Gavin whatever the hell his name is what's his name? Gavin what? Thompson
Hardson.
Newsom?
No, I almost said Newsom, color. You heard me, huh?
RD, like Hardison or something.
The Clan McLeod.
Yeah, and then we have our special teams guys, which is 3. We have a punter, a kicker, and a long snapper, and that's Jason Sanders, Blake Ferguson, and Jake Bailey. I know people don't want to hear Jake Bailey, but he's coming back. Sorry. And that to me
looks like Johnny Knoxville and Colin Cowherd put together.
Let's just give me a quick second because I got to write this down. 7.
That's right. That shit's butter, man.
Did you already do safeties or not yet?
Yep.
How many safeties you keeping?
4.
I'm with you there. Okay.
I think it's ironic too that the word meaning etiquette is kind of like it's irony. It's like, okay, not only is it not a slur, but it means I'm not trying to offend. I'm using etiquette.
So let's go ahead and rattle through it and see. Ali, can you calculate to see if we made 53 guys on this initial 53-man ordeal? So we have 6 wide receivers.
Okay.
That's Hill, Waddle, OBJ, Eazy-E, Braxton Berrios, and Malik Washington. We have 3 tight ends, Jonnu Smith, Durham Smythe, Julian Hill. We have 5 running backs, Alec Ingold, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Jalen Wright, and Jeff Wilson. We have 4 safeties, Jordan Poyer, Javon Holland, Elijah Campbell, and newcomer Marcus May making it over Patrick McMorris, the rookie. We have 7 cornerbacks, Jalen Ramsey, Cam Smith, Kendall Fuller, Cater Kohu, Nick Needham, Sirianni Neal, and Ethan Bonner. we have 11 offensive linemen. Patrick Paul, Teron Armisen, Austin
Armisen.
Jackson. I know.
Having a stroke, Cap?
A little bit, yeah. My penmanship's terrible, so I mean, dude, I've squeezed it all on this tiny little fucking notebook, bro. Austin Jackson, Teron Armstead. God damn, I am having a stroke color. Teron Armstead, Patrick Paul, Liam Eichenberg, Kendall Fuller, Isaiah Wynn, Aaron Brewer, Keon Smith, Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, Matthew Jones. Holy shit. We have 5 defensive linemen. Zach Sealer, Calais Campbell, Mo Kamara, Jonathan Harris, Tier Tart. 7 linebackers, Chop Robinson, Shaq Barrett, Jordy Brooks, David Long Jr., Duke Riley, Cameron Good, Anthony Walker, and Chubb and Phillips will be put on the PUP, but that's not going to count in that 7. We have 2 quarterbacks, Tua and Mike White, and then our 3 guys for our special teams, the kicker, the punter, and the long snapper. Does that come out to 53?
Yes, it does.
Look at
Something
that.
like that.
Look at that. Now, here's the thing. The bubble guys. So I'm going to make a bubble guy list.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to make it bubblicious.
Bubblicious list.
There we go.
So let's look at these guys that are on the bubble that are extremely noteworthy. I would say first we'll look at and some of these guys are already on the 53, right? But I'm going to put them on as bubble guys to maybe be overtaken by somebody, or maybe they go one less in a position group to go one more somewhere else.
Or hold their spot against one of these street guys we've penciled in, rookies or street guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever. So let's move right to the linebackers first, okay? To me, Anthony Walker Jr. is a bubble guy.
7 more games than you guys do, Joel. Just to let you know, 7 more games than you guys.
And by no way are we trying to offend anybody that is required to live in a bubble.
I don't care. Fuck your bubble. How about that?
Your bubble offends me.
I got a bubble right here for you in my pants.
Yeah, well, your cheating ass football team offends me, Ali.
El Cap's fake bubble that he, because he stuffs it to make it look like a bubble.
That's my bulge I stuff, not my bubble. What do you guys think? You think you think Cameron Good is a bubble guy? I think so because of the injury. Yeah,
his knee's probably still in a bubble.
That's why when you guys said you haven't making the roster, I'm like, I'm not sold.
Well, I'm not 100%, but we're gonna put him on the potential cut list.
There's one aspect to this list that we did not talk about that I think we should. The Dolphins brought in a lot of special team specialists, and outside of Anthony Walker, I don't really think you.
Sirianni Neal.
Oh, Sirianni Neal. Okay, I forgot about him.
And he's made the roster. Yeah,
okay,
and he's going to end up on this list, but yes.
Because they brought quite a few. I at least think one of them is going to make it. So go ahead.
So, yeah, and I've kind of taken that into account a little bit, too, as I was doing this exercise over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, Tyndall has lost all chances, but I'm still going to put him in this because early reports is that he's flying around out there.
So at least he's alive.
Yeah, I know, right? So let's move on now to defensive line because I've got 3 linebackers. I would say Mo Kamara and Tier Tart are both on the edge there. I would say less Mo Kamara. I think they're going to allow him a little bit more. But I think just as likely that Mo Kamara and Tier Tart end up on the D-line group, that other guys that I'm going to put on the bubble could take their job, right? So I'm going to put the Mo Kamara. And the guys I could see pushing for that position, Brandon Peely is number 1 for sure. And the other guy that I could see pushing in that position group is either Deshaun Hand or Neville Galmore. I'm going to put them both on there. And the reason I'm doing this is because as the off season progresses and we get into more camp battles, these other guys might rise in the ranks, and I might say, you know what, we're gonna go one less corner, we're gonna go one less lineman, because it just might look that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, I'm going to put 0 guys on the outside looking in from the offensive line group as quote unquote bubble guys. And I'm going to put 3 guys that are on the roster right now in there. And that is Lester Cotton, Robert Jones. Actually, I'm going to put 4. I'm going to put Keon Smith, Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, and Matthew Jones, all as guys that are potential roster cuts instead, to then potentially take 10 offensive linemen like they did last year and take that 11th guy that I have on here and apply it to a different position group. Maybe the wide receivers, maybe the running backs, maybe the defensive interior, which could be very possible. So give me a second to do this because it's a lot of names.
All right, hit that like button, everybody, for the dry air. The flooding has stopped in Florida, so for the time being, there's all kinds of tropical disturbances in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Atlantic Ocean.
All right.
So look for our lives to be threatened again one more time, anytime in the near future. Chop, chop.
So we're moving on to cornerbacks now, right? First guy, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but Ethan Bonner, first cornerback, ended up on there, and followed in a close second, which to me, I would put this guy over Ethan Bonner just of youth and age. But Sirianni Neal.
I bet that dude can hit
Dude,
hard, man.
Buddy literally kills himself on as the cornerback fucking special teams guy. But will that be as necessary with the special teams rule changes? And also, will it be as necessary now that the Dolphins have put Marcus May on the football team too? I'm also going to put Storm Duck as a guy that could potentially overtake somebody.
I believe Marcus May is safe because you wouldn't have brought him in. You know, I mean, he was
This
kind of
late in the
looked at
game, I know.
as an alternative to signing what's the other guy, you know what I mean, Simmons. So I think he's intended to be brought in to make the team. I know they don't like to say anybody's a shoe in, but like, why would we have gone and done all that, you know?
He's the only safety I'm putting on the bubble for the Simmons potential pickup and or any of these other guys.
Oh, you think the Simmons could still happen?
Why not, right?
Okay. I kind of thought that was the alternative.
I agree with you, but I don't ever count anything out until that guy's on some other football team.
But then again, Cedric was supposed to be the, you know, and then we got Tyreek. Yeah. So, yeah.
As far as running backs go, the only one ending up on this list is a guy who's made the 53, and that's Jeff Wilson. Oddly enough, right, do the Dolphins cut Jeff Wilson for Sylvan Ahmed? I say no. Do they cut him for Chris Brooks? Maybe. I also wonder, do they cut him for somebody that's not currently on the team? That's highly more likely, right? That if they were to cut him, if they cut Jeff Wilson, it's because someone else got cut somewhere else and they're picking him up. And there's a name that I've been hearing going around that could be a potential cap cut or roster cut and looking to be trade bait. Whether the Dolphins would be interested in trading for him or not, I don't know, but I would like him. Had some injuries, knee injuries. The running back Javonte Williams from the Denver Broncos is a name that's coming up as a cut. So that would be. I loved him coming out of college. I badly wanted the Dolphins to take him, and he looks to be, outside of the knee injury, which I don't know how that's going, to be everything I thought he was going to be coming out of college. So,
barring any of that, I think the only way Jeff Wilson gets beat out by Chris Brooks, let's say, is if, you know, that, remember that scenario we were talking about where we have 4.5 and 3.5 as far as running backs and tight ends, and Ingold plays both duties, and it, you know, remember I was saying that? Well, if you do something like that, then it allows you, if somebody gets hurt, to have Ingold be running more of that second tight end duty while Brooks fills in for him at the fullback, you know what I mean? And vice versa. And you'd have a rotating room of about 3 to 4 guys that could play either tight end or fullback, you know what I mean?
I'm just looking
that would be the only reason they would hold Brooks over in his age, of course, over Jeff Wilson, who has the rapport of the coach and all that going with him for him, you know what I mean?
So I've been looking through the comments. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. First of all, make sure you hit the like button, everybody. Just to clarify a few things, there's a comment by Joel Diaz saying that Tua's 1-9 versus Allen in the Buffalo Bills. He hasn't played the Bills 9 times, so he's not 1-9. Just so you're aware of that. What else? There was another comment. I'm trying to find it. I wanted to comment on. The whole thing about the contract, saying that he's a $54 million clown. He's not even look. I don't look at the average per year number because that, they may not even get 54 million per year. It's going to come down to being like 42 or 43 million. And I don't think he's a clown, to be honest.
Well, the thing of it is if everybody wants to start talking in gross terms again at 55 million, let them have their little, pom-pom waving for 55 million for Tua. It's still only, if it's structured right, it's like Ali said, it's still only going to be 40 to 43.
It's going to be 43 and a half. I've been saying it for 4 months.
43 and a half.
I don't know why and what it's going to take for people to get it. But that's what the number is going to be, and guaranteed 43.5 million.
If the Tua sycophants want to take that to mean 55 million and go run with it and poke out their chest, hey, more power to them. I don't care.
So the final position group, because we went backwards, is the wide receiver group. Very dicey on this one because I feel like there's a lot of battles that are going to happen. We have Eazy-E and Braxton Berrios on this 53, but both of them are both on the bubble. 4 guys like River Craycraft, Taj Washington, and I also put Malik Washington on that as well, on the bubble as a guy who could lose his job. So
Malik or Taj Washington?
Huh?
Malik or Taj Washington?
Well, Malik Washington, Braxton Berrios, and Eazy-E have all made the roster. I have all 3 of them as bubble guys for the likes of Taj Washington and River Craycraft.
I can't disagree more.
You think Taj is getting in over who?
Braxton Berrios.
I'm telling you.
Well, first of all, Ali and I have a disagreement on this already. Ali thinks that both Washingtons are making it. I think only one of them will make it.
I think both Washingtons make it, and in addition, River Craycraft makes it. So you already know who the top 3 guys are: Waddle, Tyreek, and OBJ, right?
So
and then you look at the receivers. You got Malik Washington. He's a lock in my opinion. And then from there, I have
Taj Washington is one.
I have River Craycraft and Taj Washington, right? Now, the difference between you and I believe I carried one more receiver than you did.
So that could be possible.
You might have. Well, Eazy-E makes on yours.
But that's where him and I disagree. I think Ali's right that we carry that extra receiver.
I think it's
Eazy-E instead of Taj.
See, I disagree. I think Braxton Berrios is the odd man looking out. Think about it this way. Think about it this way. In a schematic, in the different types of route trees you could run, and as a role in the receiving game, right? Outside of that, what does Braxton Berrios give you?
I'm telling you all right now, if you cut Eazy-E, Braxton Berrios, Taj Washington, Malik Washington, the first guy to get the first call and the guy to get the best offer to go to another team is Braxton Berrios, hands down, over those 4 guys. And you know what? You can throw River Craycraft in there too.
That's the only thing he does is return kicks and punts, bro.
I think Andy Reid snatches up.
He does not move the needle whatsoever. He does not block very well in the running game, and that's something that River Craycraft has made a career out of.
Again, who's calling River Craycraft?
Washington, right?
No one's going to call. River Craycraft will be a 53-man roster cut because he was last year and because no one is calling him. I agree with you. I personally value River Craycraft twice-fold over a Braxton Berrios, but the NFL values a Braxton Berrios
last year, right, Cap?
Huh?
He was a 53-man cut the year before last year.
Let me see. I'll make certain on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we put him on the 53 this year.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, River Craycraft and Braxton Berrios both were on there.
Yes, and that was because we just brought in Braxton Berrios. But this year, look at the money that we signed Braxton Berrios. It's for
But we carried one less tight end last year. We only carried 2 fucking tight ends going into the year, and that's got to come from somewhere. And I'm giving my team an extra offensive lineman, which is your fucking offensive lineman that you like. And so where are you going to trim the fat from, Ali, to put a fucking Taj Washington and a River Craycraft
Maybe
on.
And I think that extra tight end comes in the form of Alec Ingold with Chris Brooks backing him up.
But I took a running back. The Dolphins carried 6 running backs, including fucking Alec Ingold. They did that last year, and it didn't work out for them. They're going to carry 5 running backs and 1 extra tight end because it didn't work out last year.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. In that case, they would have Chris Brooks backing up Ingold by taking Jeff Wilson's spot.
Here's
that
my
would be
point.
The only way we keep Brooks is what I meant. Is what I was saying.
To clarify. Okay, you say we're only holding on to 6. That's fine. I just disagree with your 6. Period.
Agreed.
All right, duly noted. All right.
And my 6, I will tell you, in your scenario, is the 3 top dogs, which you know who they are, and then it's Malik, River, and Taj.
And I say that River doesn't make it. And I say one of the Washingtons doesn't make it. And I say Braxton Berrios makes it over every single person left on the list after OBJ. I think wide receiver 4 is Braxton Berrios, whether we like it or not. And I'm not saying it's the right or wrong decision. I think, hands down, I would put value over on River Craycraft over Braxton Berrios. But I don't foresee it. I don't.
Well, 236 people heard both of your all's cases, so everybody hit the like button since it's worthy of hitting the like button.
So, real quick, all of the guys on the bubble, and some are on the 53, but I've put them on there because they could be overtaken by people in their respective position groups, or they could be fat trimmed to add talent to another unit that got more than that you would think. See, because right now, on my 53-man roster, I have 4 safeties. Last year, the Dolphins had 5. But they had 6 corners, and I've put on 7. So I've leveled that out. The Dolphins last year, they had 6 running backs. I only put 5. But they only had 2 tight ends. I put on 3. They had 6 wide receivers last year. I put on 6 again. The real kicker is the offensive line. The offensive line has really made it difficult to really get a judge because I feel like the talent at the bottom 3 guys might be prioritized less than some of the names in other position groups that we're looking at here. But I got that extra guy for my 11th offensive lineman by only carrying 2 quarterbacks rather than 3. The Dolphins carried 3 last year. So really, what am I losing? I'm losing a 3rd-string quarterback for another offensive lineman that I want to keep for the grueling season. And I've gotten a guy, and that guy is flexible inside and out, and a Keon Smith is really where he sits as that guy. So right now, Anthony Walker Jr., linebacker, on the bubble. Cameron Good on the bubble. Channing Tindall on the bubble. Mo Kamara. Not a lot of people are going to like to hear that, but I'm sorry until I see what this guy's got. And I like him. I like him a lot. But because of his size, because of his position, because he doesn't play well in the space as a guy that can defend the pass in the outside linebacking unit, and because they're going to be using him as a defensive edge setter, that's going to be someone to watch. Mo Kamara as a guy who could be overtaken. And I just don't know, right, from the Anthony Weaver system for the types of guys. I mean, dude, they've got 26 front 7 guys, including Mo Kamara. And I've already put 2 of my 26 guys that are my starters on the PUP. Now, do I think they keep him? Yes, that's why he's on my 53. Could he be beat out by a guy like I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Well, that's the hard part is that, some of these guys that we just brought in could turn out to be way better in standouts
exactly
over the other guys simply because they work better with what Weaver wants them to do or whatever.
Listen,
who knows?
Mo Kamara, things go according to plan. Mo Kamara does make the transition like Ali's hoping and projecting and thinking, and I agree with it, that he's more of a edge-setting pass rusher, and we don't need to put Cameron Good on the roster, and we can ride with him being as a potential 53-man roster cut and keep him in that perspective aspect, switching him out with Cameron Good and putting another defensive tackle in that D-line group. I would agree with that, but I don't foresee it.
Well, if a certain scheme can make a mid-level quarterback better, why couldn't some no-name off-the-street linebacker get better in Anthony Weaver's scheme? You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, again, real quick, the bubble guys, Anthony Walker Jr., Cameron Good Jr., Channing Tindall, Mo Kamara, Tier Tart, who I have as a bubble guy for the reasons of Brandon Peely as a bubble guy, and Deshaun Hand and Neville Gallimore? Is it Gallimore or is it Galloway?
Gallimore.
Okay. All defensive tackles. Then we move to Robert Jones, who's on the roster as a bubble guy. Matthew Jones, Lester Cotton, and Keon Smith. All offensive linemen that have made this team. But any one of them could be cut because we moved down to 10 and we could put it somewhere else. And any two of them could be cut, one for the reason I just said, and the other because someone else out there got cut that we value more than what we already possess. Where we could say, all right.
Again, and look out for that guy, Ben Cleveland in Baltimore.
That's where my mind is, Color. That, all right, we're going to keep Matthew Jones, but we're going to go ahead and let go of Robert Jones and Keon Smith, and we're going to go pick up that guy from Baltimore, and we're only going to go 10, and we're going to put another fifth safety over here named Simmons. See how I did that?
Right,
Fuck
right.
y'all.
And see there that situation over there in Baltimore is kind of the same way we're in. So you could look at their entire offensive line group as the same as part of ours. In other words, the guy that they're sniffing around at, Ben Cleveland, is their starter from last year, who is expected to hold on to his spot, but they hope with the guys they were brought in to seriously challenge that spot. So if he gets beat out by a new guy, that's a decent starting freaking center.
Yeah,
it's available now all of a sudden.
So, El Cap. I respect you, but I kindly disagree with some of your takes. And because I sometimes feel that I go hard on Color with his Lando takes, you officially get the Wendy's takes.
Oh my God.
That's what I think of some of your takes on Mo Kamara, as well as
you know what, Ali? I can in order to avoid the copyright, I just thought of a spoof for it that would be brilliant.
We'll talk behind the scenes. We'll make it
the W to
well,
TR.
Go ahead, Ali. Keep fucking around. I'll put HB all over this bitch right now.
Ali, change the W to TR. Trendies.
Trendy?
I want a different headshot on that, though. That's a terrible headshot.
You can fix that up.
So, continuing on the list, we have Ethan Bonner as a bubble guy, Sirianni Neal as well. Again, we carried one more in the CB group, so either one of those guys could be taken away from the cornerback group and put somewhere else on the team.
How many did you have on the CB group? The number
seven.
And last year we had 6, right?
41.
So we had 5 safeties, and I only put 4.
Hold on.
So in DBs, our overall DB group number didn't change. I just took one safety off and added an extra CB, and I did that because of Nick Needham.
So my list it does not include 6 corners. It's actually 5 corners that I think we're holding on to.
No one on earth has ever gone in the season with only 5 corners, dude. They always go with 6.
Look at it this way, right? We had Jalen Ramsey, we had Xavier Howard, we had Eli Apple, Kader Kuhu, we had Cam Smith, and then we had a guy named Calvin Joseph that we didn't even use.
That was the 6th guy.
Yeah, we didn't even hardly use him at all. What's the point? What is the point? I would rather keep players on this team if they're going to be effective. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Agreed.
I'm going to actually, on a broken take, there's going to be a PowerPoint presentation with a complete breakdown and explanation.
So other guys that stand on the roster, rounding out the DBs, are Storm Duck.
That you can put that bug in HB's ear if you want to get Ali about, with the PowerPoint presentations. I'm sure there could be something figured out there.
Oh, I don't worry. I'll think of something. But
I like Storm Duck. You're right. He is a bubble guy, but I do like him.
I like Storm Duck, and maybe he beats out Sirianni Neal as the 7th guy. I don't know. Again, I feel like he's worth putting on as a guy to make the roster. I have Marcus May in my bubble group. Dolphins fans are all cheering about him, yada yada yada. They did the same thing when we got the tight end from Jody, whatever the hell his name is, Jody Forson, who's also on my thing. Again, I'm not saying these guys don't end up on this football team, but am I going to prioritize these types of guys on my 53 for younger potential budding talent or some more proven talent I can get? So the reason Marcus May is on here and such as one of my potential cuts is because they can go out and get Simmons, and Marcus May could be off this motherfucking team real quick with no money and trouble. So he's competing right now with the other safeties that are on the roster and any other safeties that are 53-man roster cut, because there's going to be a cut out there of a young guy and or a guy that a team, the veteran that lost out to a young guy that they drafted, or a UDFA that they didn't know, and they're going to save $7-8 million or even $3 million and save some money and just pull the bandage off and just move on. That could very well be. So I think there's a real possibility that Marcus May, that's why he ends up on the bubble. I just don't see how he could have made so much headway that the Dolphins are like, we're going to keep him no matter what, over potential other that has higher upside. Jeff Wilson Jr., again, same thing in that aspect. I think he's not only competing with Chris Brooks, that's also on my bubble, but also other free agent running backs that can potentially be available to the Dolphins. Odd guy, and this was the hardest name to put on the bubble for me, Julian Hill. It's the hardest name to put on there because the Dolphins used him so much. I saw a guy who beat out Elijah Higgins, who ended up going to Arizona and looking decent as an ipso facto slot receiver, which the Dolphins didn't want a tall slot receiver. They wanted a more inline blocker that can stretch, flex out, and catch the ball. And Julian Hill proved that he could do that. Now, I do know that we added, what's his name in the tight end group this year, Jonnu Smith, which essentially is a complete upgrade, sitting as an opposite to what's his name, Durham Smythe. But I feel like the Dolphins aren't going to make the mistake of having 2 tight ends. Essentially, they only had, one they could count on with Durham Smythe, and really Julian Hill. I mean, they counted on him, and he was the only second guy. I just think he's going to make the roster. But could he lose the battle to Jody Forston? Potentially, right? I don't see it happening, but it could. And also, is there any other tight ends out there on the market that they could look to upgrade? I don't know, but I've put both those guys on there, Jody Nelson and Julian Hill. That's a camp battle I'm going to watch closely. And then finally, the most arguing Ali and I will have until this 53-man roster is done is the wide receivers. And it's Easy E, Braxton Berrios, River Craycraft, Taj Washington, and Malik Washington. All 4 guys that, to me, are on the bubble, on the roster bubble for who's going to make up the remaining 3 roster spots on our wide receiving core. Now, do the Dolphins say to themselves, we're not letting go of, I didn't put River. Oh yeah. We're not going to let go of River Craycraft. We're not going to let go of Braxton Berrios. We're not going to let go of Easy E. And we're going to also want to keep Taj and fucking they're not going to go 8, right? They can go 7. And would it be River Craycraft, Braxton Berrios, Eazy-E, Taj Washington? I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But these are all camp battles that I've got looking up. And coming up here in the near future, guys, you're going to see these episodes coming up. We've got Julian Hill versus Jordy Nelson versus the free agent market for tight end position as the third guy. We're going to have Chris Brooks and Salvin Ahmed versus Jeff Wilson to see who comes out on top in that battle. We have Ethan Bonner versus Storm Duck and other guys on the bubble. We'll have do the O-linemen carry 10 or 11? And if they do, who are the remaining guys? Who are the bottom dudes that we're going to watch in camp? The Matthew Jones and Jack Driscoll and the dudes like that, or other guys that are on the free agent market. The wide receiver group, we just said, is it going to be Eazy-E or any of these other guys? Does Eazy-E lose out to a Taj Washington? Completely different body types. But could that be the way the Dolphins go? They just say, fuck it. We ain't going any big bodies. We're going all little guys in the wide receiver room. I don't give a damn. And then our defensive line and with the defensive tackle and defensive edge unit, the fourth and the fifth guy, Mo Kamara and Tier Tart, them versus everyone else looking up from the bottom up on who can take their job and force them out. And then the linebacking unit, we're going to look out to see who ends up on the PUP list, because right away, these dudes that are sitting on the bubble come immediately off. If Jalen Phillips doesn't end up on the PUP list and have to be put on the 53, then bye-bye to Anthony Walker Jr. immediately, right? He doesn't stand a chance.
I'm going to get this jersey.
Jody Foreskin? Yeah, I bet. That's got a military connotation too. And then, if Jalen Phillips doesn't end up on the PUP list, and you can kiss goodbye a lot of guys. And then like Cameron Good and Wheeler, who fights out between the two of them? Or do either one of them? Does Cameron Good end up on the PUP list and Chubb and not Phillips? Interesting to watch. Do they not even give a shit about Good because Mo Kamara is going to take those snaps and they're just going to let him hit the 53-man roster cut and see if he'll clear waivers? A lot of interesting things going to come up, and we'll have those shows in the future. I appreciate everybody coming through, Color and Ali coming and rocking here with me a little bit. I want everybody to, hit the like button, subscribe, and at the end of the show in the comment section, let me know what you guys think of the 53-man roster breakdown. I know it's a little bit dicey because really technically we carried 55 because we put 2 guys on the PUP list, but fuck y'all. I'll do it how I please.
Exactly.
And again, that's a pretty in-depth early on 53-man roster projection. I don't see anybody doing it this early. Ain't nobody even fucking got the nuts enough to even try to talk about it the way we have for months now. And we're going to stand on business, and all of the notes in which we've created is going to set us up for how we're going to dissect the information we're going to receive as camp goes on. We're going to hear about Mo Kamara. We're going to hear about Eazy-E. We're going to hear about the list of bubble guys that we've got here that we're watching to see. And there's going to be surprises. Ethan Bonner could come in and solidify himself, and fucking we could cut Sirianni Neal, and I don't know, Kader Kohu gets cut.
Mm-hmm. Yep. By the way, program note, keep following the Fins Tailgate. Keep your notification bell hit. And
Colors
become
got
a member
something
today,
good coming up.
but keep a lookout. I will be finishing the numbers on the quarterback ranking, production rankings, and wide receiver production rankings. Keep a lookout for those 2 shows. For at least the quarterback show, I have preliminarily booked a very special guest who I will not reveal to the audience. I have not even revealed to my own team, and that person will help me break down the production rankings for the for the quarterback.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then I'll
plug.
So keep a lookout for that. Finishing up the numbers, I got to get it going and get the spreadsheet finished, and then schedule it out. So make sure you're hitting the notification bell and following TFTG intently to make sure you know when that drops.
Yeah. In addition to that, no, because I just got back from vacation, no broken takes this week, but we will follow it up next Tuesday or Wednesday with a broken takes episode. So there will be a me and my PowerPoint sources. If you guys want to coin mark something. Me and my PowerPoint sources are going to break down a real 53-man roster breakdown that's evolving, that we will follow through several episodes of Broken Takes all the way through training camp. So, yeah, you can eat that, El Cap, in your...
Well, if you guys want to look how fans do it, go watch Broken Takes. You want to see how experts do it, go back and watch the replays of this episode.
Okay, all right. You keep saying what you're saying.
Just because he's going to win. It just says he's going to... Just because he's going to church it up with some fucking window dressing and some PowerPoint don't mean he knows it. Son of a bitch got 8 wide receivers on his roster. Don't listen to this man.
8 wide receivers. Calm down.
He thinks Braxton Berrios is worthless.
I do think there's a chance that we do carry 7, though. I do think
I agree. And I could see that being the 11th offensive lineman real quick. I mean, listen, Dolphins have carried 9 offensive linemen many a times in the past. So that could be something where they go heavy in the linebacking room, and they could carry 9 offensive linemen and put one in the linebacking room from the 11 and another in the wide receiver room. And look at that.
And that's speaking of 9, that's definitely a possibility. But also the guys that they have outside of the starting 5, who we kind of figure out who those people are, they have to be very versatile. You're going to see us keep players that can play multiple positions on that offensive line.
Oh, yeah. And
doing that.
And that's why, listen, Alessandro Cotton, say what you want. He's played outside, inside, dude. He's played tackle and guard. And they like him. And here's the thing I wonder the most, and I'm going to end it on this, is that a lot of these guys that are in the offensive line, they've been being coached up by Butch Berry and Mike McDaniel in this scheme. They've been around here, and I think that they value that. They're inexpensive. They're guys that they can plug and play, and they know that they're going to need them, and they got to go cheap somewhere because they're going so expensive in other places. All right, everyone, hit the like button. You'll see more of this nonsense coming in the future, and we'll catch you all next time. Fins up.